Yo, what's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Jan Moses back here with a really special video. Those of you guys that have been rocking with the BrothSyndi content when it comes to my team, at least over the last couple of years, may recall periodically us dropping a podcast on this YouTube channel. Those podcasts used to drop as frequently as every season, and I feel like as time has gone on, that periodically has adjusted from every season to every few months. And now it's been almost 200 days since the last podcast that we recorded on this channel about my team. We have one major change, and that is the name. We're going with the BrothSyndi My Team show. But along with that, we're still bringing the same crew being myself and my podcasting co host, Harry. Harry, how are you, sir? It's great to have you back.
It's great to be back. I can't believe it's been, like you said, almost 200 days. I mean, like you said, we went from like every season, and now it's been so long in between. It's crazy that, it's 2K25. We've been playing 2K together since like 2K16. So it's insane that it's almost been 10 years. Can you believe that? But yeah, no, it's great to be back in the podcast, and I'm ready to dive into my team.
Awesome. So when we had recorded our last podcast, we had covered a bunch of different topics. That was back, I think we were a few weeks into season three of NBA 2K25, my team. And Harry at that point had actually stopped playing my team, I think towards the end of season two. But the main reason why we recorded a podcast was to talk about whether or not, I think the title of the podcast was actually, is season three make or break for my team in NBA 2K25. And we also talked about a little controversy, which some of you guys may remember, with a little bit of, I mean, some would call it a heated exchange between Most Ballin, a prominent My Team YouTuber, and my podcasting co-host and former Twitch mod, Harry. But we don't want to really talk about that. That's old news. What I do want to ask you about, Harry, is where have you been, and have you played any my team in NBA 2K25 since that last podcast?
Yeah, so I've kind of been all over the place. Lots of career focus changes and lots of changes in my personal life. I really have not played really any my teams since our last podcast, which is crazy because, as Jan can attest, I'm someone that's, I would even say, has been addicted to 2K in my team in the past, and I'm someone that, like, I would get the game and play it for so many hours every day. So for me, not playing for so many months is like completely new for me, and it's like new territory. um it's just, I think it really puts emphasis on just how little I've enjoyed 2K25 and my team, as a whole, compared to even previous years where sometimes like I would quit and then come back, and that was always typical for me. I would quit the game and then come back a couple months and then quit and come back. This was the first time I quit and didn't come back.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's it's true. I mean, obviously, the podcast with Harry have only been going on for a couple of years, but as I mentioned briefly earlier, I've known Harry since he was a Twitch mod for me during my NBA 2K 15, 16, and 17 days. That was back when I was only doing content on Twitch. I was just streaming basically every single day. Back when my team, in my opinion, was more innocent, but regardless, I mention that because, since I've known Harry now for basically, which is crazy to say this, 10 years,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I've seen exactly what Harry's talking about, that level of addiction, that craving for my team, to the point that I used to give him a really hard time when, we would hit late August and 2K would drop their blog or their courtside report or whatever you want to call it. And Harry would get so excited about what was written in those blogs. And I would tell him all the time, like, you can't take them for what they're saying. They're going to go back on all this stuff. But I mean, you could argue that I was just as much of at fault because I was telling Harry to not believe it, but then I was still buying that year's NBA 2K as
And it's
well.
it's so crazy to like look back on that and like we'll move on, but it's like now we have my team trailers where they show you kind of what you're looking at. Like, isn't it like how many years was I like I was so tempted by just words, like no proof, no photos, no videos of
I
what we were
know.
getting, just 2K literally just like writing out what we could be getting in the most like vague possible like format, you know?
Yeah. Well, you could argue that the words were actually better because those trailers are kind of like tailor made to just show what they want. And a lot of what they show in
Yeah.
those trailers are totally useless. Like all you get nowadays are, oh, these are the reward cards that we're getting that we can grind for in the season pass. But you don't get anything else like of value, in my
Well, this
opinion.
year was different because it was like the breakout and all these new like
Oh, yes. Yes.
this felt like like the most revamped my and maybe it is the most revamped my team in a sense, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean for good, you know.
Yeah, well, we're gonna definitely talk about that. So, if you don't mind, Harry, I want to just briefly, Ellie. I mean, I'm saying
Okay.
briefly. I'm gonna do my best to keep this as condensed as possible. I want to go over basically what you've missed. I'm not gonna go through all the seasons and all the different things. I think that's silly. But what I think I want to do is kind of go over what every week has looked like in my team on a general level, like what you would expect to see every single week, and then what to expect every single season based on what we've gotten the last couple of seasons, if that's cool with you. Um,
Yeah, I was gonna say if you want, just so I can lead back into it later, but if you want, I can also just quickly add why I quit my team
no,
just to
dude,
make
please,
it
yeah, I would like
flow
to. I'd like
better.
to have that in the podcast first. So go ahead.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm someone that always kind of quits my team year after year. I thought, and it's kind of interesting. I went into this year after 2K24 where we had no auction house, and Jan and I we used to be big snipers. So I kind of came in with the idea that like, you know what, if I have online and I could snipe again, like that will fill that void for me, and I'll be completely good all year.
Yeah,
And then like I remember Jan and I had such a therapeutic conversation like in the beginning of the year when like I was playing all-time Dom, and this was like the first week or two of 2K, I think, and like um I was so in the Dom mindset just because I love playing Dom, and I think I was, seeing sunshine, lollipops, rainbows. Everything was great for 2K, and I think Jan, I don't even know what player I was grinding for, but I think Jan had mentioned that the center I was going for couldn't even shoot at all, and I'm someone that likes to like 5 out, space the floor, and then I was like, wait a minute, so why am I grinding all-time Dom and literally like like sweating against the offline CPU for a ward that I'm not even gonna use? And then everything really started hitting me at once where I was like, what am I gonna do now that I'm not playing Dom? Like I'm not gonna like snipe all day. Like the auction house is so dead from the pack odds being so bad. So
yeah,
then I'm like stuck with online and it really hit me that like, maybe that isn't enough to fill my void for what I need out of 2K because it seemed like Breakout was not going to be good. Showtime, the rewards seemed very mediocre at best. So I was like what am I supposed to do? And I think I finally realized I had a bigger picture realization later on that, the reason I end up quitting every year from 2K and I go back and forth is because I'm really just not satisfied with the gameplay. And I think Jan has heard me complain about the dribbling and the gameplay for so many years. But
yes,
I think this was the year I finally realized how important it really was to me and why I would like to go back, why I every now and then I would go back to a 2K17 or 2K16 games I really enjoyed. And I think I realized that like we could be getting the greatest content in the world, which 2K is far from that. I'm not painting that picture at all. But I don't think still would have really enjoyed it just because I really just did not like have fun on the game. And I think 2K17, which is my favorite 2K of all time,
mm-hmm,
when you really look back, we probably have like there was nothing to do at all besides really snipe. I mean, we had the Gauntlet, which was fun. We had Road to the Playoffs, but Road to the Playoffs could be beaten relatively quickly, and there
yeah,
was no update. There was no like updated rewards. Like once you beat
no,
that, you were done.
yeah,
So it was like we had nothing the people that complain about content now, you would have been bored out of your minds playing 2K17. But the thing was, the gameplay was so much fun. It didn't really matter. You could spend hours playing Gauntlet for non-existent rewards, or you could spend hours playing Road to the Playoffs for rewards that you already beat. But because the gameplay was so much fun, it really didn't matter. So I think to me I realized that gameplay is like a lot more important than me than what we're actually getting because if I'm not for me the like if the content's great, like it's hard for me to spend all day or what not all day, but hours playing a game that like I didn't even really enjoy the gameplay. And like I mean I'll get into it later, but like it's to me it's ridiculous that it seems that they've I mean, Mike Wang talks about simulation basketball, but what is simulation about this game? Like, you have players on the bench in the real life NBA that have never touched the floor, but they can move faster than anyone can in this game. Curry, Kyrie, the best dribblers in real life or whatever. It's like they're so slow. Everybody is so slow. There's like, it just, it doesn't make any sense that like it's dribbling and there's no skill to it. It's like I don't know why they make it they hinder it so much to the point where like it's like you're skating on ice on the court. Like there's no explosiveness or speed boost. It's the weirdest thing to me that like this is a basketball game and you know if you go on YouTube and you find basketball highlights, you'll probably see like ankle breakers and all that sort of thing are like the most watched videos because everybody loves that sort of thing. So it's like it's so weird to me that that's such a core part of basketball that they're not really fulfilling because everybody's so slow. It's you could be Curry, you could be Kyrie, you could be Allen Iverson, the greatest dribblers of all time, and it's like you're moving. It's so hard to move. It blows my mind that that's what Mike Wang thinks is simulation basketball. But I can get into it later because I have some other hot takes about the gameplay.
Yeah.
But like full like story circle, I've really just been unsatisfied with the gameplay, like the past bunch of 2Ks. Um, and I think this was the year I realized we're like, although I would love to play a my team with great gameplay because then I could tie that in with content and playing online and all that stuff. Like I'm much more satisfied playing like modded 2K17 on my PC just because I love the gameplay. To me, like that's fun. So yeah, that's pretty much why like I haven't played, and I think this was why it was the first year I didn't, quit and come back because I think like other years I quit because I knew I was frustrated with the game, but I
Yeah.
don't think I really fully understood why I was. So I think it made it easier to quit and then come back a few weeks later when I calmed down. I think this year, this was the first year I really knew why I quit and why I'm not enjoying the game. So it made it very easy to just not play the game anymore because I knew what was stopping me from, enjoying the game.
Yeah. No, I think that's very well said, and I think again because we haven't recorded a podcast in almost 200 days, it's really nice for you to share that perspective and tell everyone first of all why you haven't played or haven't been on the game at all since our last podcast or even before that. And secondly, I think your perspective is really unique because I think a lot of the times when we see people upload YouTube videos or share on whatever social media platform they're on that they're leaving my team, a lot of it because of different my team specific related things. But I think what you mentioned is really important. Like if you don't enjoy playing the game for what it is and you're heavily reliant on the game mode rewards, for example, or some other motive that's not gameplay driven to keep you playing the game, that's a lot of pressure to be putting on the rewards for you to enjoy the game, right? Because then
Yeah,
at that point, you're just enjoying the
100%.
grind, not the actual
Yeah,
gameplay.
yes. Well, honestly, and not even that. You're not enjoying the grind at all because I'm not enjoying the gameplay. You're enjoying the end
Yeah, you're exactly.
destination. You're
Yeah,
enjoying the they say you got to enjoy the journey and not the destination.
correct.
You're
Yeah,
just enjoying the destination and you're hating the
you're
journey to
hating the
get
journey.
there,
That you're
which just
right.
sounds terrible.
Yes. No, you're right. You're saying the ends are justifying the means. Like because you want
Right.
to get to the
Yeah.
end point, whatever you need to do to get to that point is fine. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. So I appreciate that. That vantage point, and hopefully you guys watching are as well. Also, real quick before we really dive on into this, if you're watching this, first of all, thank you. We appreciate it. Really excited to be able to record this again with Harry, obviously. But I want to be able to do this more. I know we say this every single podcast. If you are enjoying this more long form content, because I'm already assuming this pod is going to go for at least an hour, leave a like, drop a comment, just let us know that you're enjoying this kind of content
Yeah.
because I
Or
enjoy
even
making it.
if you'd prefer like Jan and I doing like a shorter videos on more specific topics like that also could be fun too. So whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, look, there are plenty of other long form my team videos out there. Like Gaming Dad's podcast is fantastic, obviously, and they do it every week. So if you want like the weekly content, you can definitely check it out there. I will never commit to that, and I will never ask Harry to commit to that. I don't think our schedules allow that. I mean, part of the reason why it took almost 200 days for us to do this again is
Yeah.
because of our own efforts, and we haven't been fully committal. But It's also like Harry said, he was busy with his own personal stuff. I'm busy with my own personal stuff. My content on YouTube in general has dropped off. I will say that I think the majority of that is just a lack of enthusiasm on my part towards how my team is currently. From a content creation standpoint, there's only so much that I can make, and I'm not big into uploading videos that I think are empty calories for me, and I'm not gonna waste your guys' time uploading content that I'm not passionate about. For example, I play Salary Cap. It's the only online game mode I really play outside of Park, and so for that reason, I will continue to upload the Salary Cap Report episodes because it's my journey figuring out how I want to build my team and how I want to attack a game mode that I think has the best rewards currently in the game. And so I'm gonna keep doing that. But I mentioned all that to say that for a multitude of reasons, Harry and I will not be able to do podcasts like this, every week. But also, like Harry said, if you guys like this kind of content, if you like, on this channel, me having someone like Harry, who even if he's not playing my team as much as he used to, or currently not at all, but he's truly a someone who's played my team a lot over the last 10 plus years. I think having him on this podcast and his my team wisdom is pretty, I don't want to say like helpful, but I think it's good to have his perspective along with mine because, for example, he's going to focus more on gameplay, whereas like gameplay is important to me, but there are other issues that I have with this, with the game in its current state, and we'll get into that. So just to put a bow on this segment, I just really want you guys watching this to let us know in the comments if you're enjoying this kind of content. So with that being said, Harry, I want to just briefly dive into what we get from my team in terms of content outside of the gameplay, which you are obviously very frustrated about on a weekly level and then on a seasonal level. Mondays, we've been getting game mode grinds. They'll give us a random game mode grind or a random grind in general to do in the agendas for example, today they gave us an agenda set where we have to get a certain number of dunks in all the game modes to get a random legend badge. They've had like last week we had a streak for showdown. You have to win 10 showdown games in a row, I believe, to get, I think it was a dark matter card, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. Tuesdays over the last couple of seasons have been for super packs. Super packs are VC only packs. The pack odds on Tuesdays are better than the pack odds on Fridays, which I think is very relevant. And we can talk about that later too. But unlike last year, you can't grind for any of the players from the Tuesday promos this year, which is kind of crazy because these Tuesday like promo players are pretty bad. And so I would think 2K would let us grind for them, but they don't. And I mean, like this season, the super packs are better because you can open up a 51 pack box and every pack will have a pink diamond at minimum, but it's $100 a box, which is crazy to me, but to a lot of people playing this game, it's not. So, it is what it is. And then there are agendas that you can grind. Every week they drop a whole, a whole set of agendas you can grind for. Basically, if you complete all the agendas over the course of the 5 weeks that they're available, this season you get a 100 overall, which is 2 tiers below the highest tier in the game because we have Invincibles and now GOAT cards coming out. Wednesdays, we just get weekly agendas for usually RNG packs. Thursdays, we get nothing. They just tease Friday content. And then Fridays, we get the new promo. We get agendas. They used to be for a deluxe pack. Now we can grind agendas for effectively a 10-pack box, so you get more RNG content. But it's not bad. I'll take that 10-pack box over anything else. Saturdays are King of the Court, and then Sundays are your park streaks, which are usually not that great, unfortunately, unless we have an event, and then you can get the highest tier collectible. Which, speaking of events, moving on to the seasons, we get 2 events per season. Harry, I'm not sure if you saw any of this, but basically what events are, you every time you win a game, you get like a gold tier collectible, and you can use those in the exchange. If you get a bunch of them, to upgrade them, and then you can use those collectibles to get packs or boxes, or there are certain players that are in the exchange. So there are things that you can grind to get, but there really isn't a lot of excitement around these events because if you're not spending money on these events, especially recently, it just feels like you can't really capitalize on what they're offering in the exchange, which is pretty frustrating. Every season, we also get a new domination, which is kind of annoying because the domination player is really not that good, and I feel like most people just play domination for the XP. And then they have ladders for rewards in Showdown in the Park, but those rewards are all RNG as well. Any comments? I know I just threw a lot at you over the last few minutes. Did anything like was there anything that did stand out to you that I mentioned?
Um, yeah, I think it's just sad to hear like the state of my team. I mean, I think I hit a point even after 2 seasons where I was like, I don't want to grind for RNG rewards. So the fact that we're what season are we in right now?
7.
The fact that we're 7 seasons in and there's people still grinding every week for RNG rewards that are probably not going to make their team, is just sad. I mean, I was even randomly looking at the domination rewards the other day. There isn't one reward that would really be that. And like, listen, domination has never really been about the end game player. It's always been
Yeah,
about what you get along the way. And it
correct.
seems like I feel like the they've used the handicap of allowing you to play on like pro difficulty to make it so you don't get really great MT rewards or stuff like that along the way because they can defend it being an easy grind. So, it's just sad. I mean, none of that really sounds enticing at all. I mean, I guess it's cool that there's events technically every season, but I mean, none of those events seem like you have to get on and play. They're just, I mean, even you talking about the boxes, like I remember the days of like doing those agendas for like a 10-pack box where none of it was going to be any good and it was just literally a waste of time. Like it's just like
It's
I
frustrating.
don't know, it's frustrating that it's like you're you're really sacrificing your time for a reward that like might not even make your team. I mean, like how many horror stories have we read this year where people did the all those park wins for a player that they already had on their team and there was
Yeah.
nothing that they could do to make up for that. Like
No, I mean,
it's
Harry, I play salary cap. That's the only game mode that I really play when it comes to online, outside of like the random park streaks here or there. The last 2 seasons that I played salary cap, we've gotten dark matter for hitting 2,500 points in every round, which I think is roughly like 50 to 60 wins because you have to win. Well, no, it's like sorry, 50 to 60 games, I think.
yeah, yeah.
So I played all those games. In season 5, I got Dark Matter Ray Allen, which is one of the worst Dark Matters, and I got Dark Matter DeMar DeRozan the following season, which was even worse somehow. So I got 2 Dark Matters through playing 120 games of salary cap roughly. That didn't ever see the floor for me. I think they both turned into legend badges, which weren't even good legend badges, and that's the thing. That's one of my big issues with, and we'll talk about in a second.
And
Our
that's
next
the weird
segment.
thing. It's like that really like in order for a system like that to work, is the gameplay has to be fun. Like imagine someone like me who hates the gameplay and I'm playing the game for
Yes,
a card I don't even know what card I'm getting. So
yes,
it's like I can't even get excited about the end goal. Like I remember in like 2K18 there was a supermax where like you had to beat each round or something and then at the end of the month you would get a pink diamond 99 Porzingis and like I was so excited for that card that was something that kept me going all month long, sweating online because I knew that that was the end goal. So it's like it's like you're great at the analogies, but it's like having I don't know. It's just like it's just crazy to me that people are literally playing so many games every season. Like I don't know if they're still doing the park wins and
no, they are,
the
they are,
online.
they are,
Yeah,
but they're
exactly. So
still
it's like
not
people
great
are
rewards.
people are devoting their like life playing like at minimum like 10, 15 games a day of park wins, not just games or whatever that you have to win for a card they don't even know what they're getting. It's like they I say this all the time, and this will sound mean and like negative, but it's like, you know, this community deserves everything they get because they put up with this stuff. And 2K sees the numbers of how many people are doing this. I look on Twitter, I see how many people are doing these park wins every season, and I get that you know, this could be the only game you play, and like if you like, there's nothing else for you to do. But it's like you got to put your foot down at some point where it's like enough is enough. Like it's so wrong to treat your fan base like this. Like it's just like repetitive stuff every season for stuff you don't even know what you're grinding for. Like it's ridiculous. It's like it's literally imagine like having a job and you work 40 hours a week and you're grinding and you don't and like your paycheck is complete RNG. You don't know what paycheck you're getting. It's like
Yeah, it's
if
a
you
great
went to an
analogy.
interview and if you went to an interview and they told you that that was a job and they say, "Oh, maybe you'd make $1 million." But it's like you look at the pack odds and that's like a less than 1% chance or whatever. It's
Yeah,
just like you would laugh at their face and say, "I'm not doing that." This is essentially what you're doing in 2K. You're saying at the beginning of every season, all right, I don't know how many wins, 500 park wins. You have to win whatever, 10, 15 games a day. You're devoting that time every single day for a reward that might not even see the sunlight on your lineup because it's not a good card, or it could be a card you already have. And like
yeah,
what and
and
like
that's
I
happened a
mean,
lot to a lot of
and
people.
Jen and I can talk about this. I mean, maybe it's been better or it's been proven against me because I haven't been playing, but like have we really seen anyone get like a one of the top cards that they could get? Like, or is it even possible? Do we know, is it even possible to get
I
those
mean,
cards
so
from
I
the
know it is possible. There are people on like Twitter who have shown pictures of them getting like a random invincible. Like it does happen. I just got 100 Yao Ming last week from the locker
Okay, yeah,
code,
yeah, yeah.
right? Which like
But that's
that
the
was
locker code. I'm talking
that
about grinding the game.
well, no, grinding the game, but like still, like from in terms of like how everything in this game is now RNG. Like you can still get something good from RNG, but like for every like for the one Yao Ming that I got, if we're gonna go
Right.
back
Yeah,
to
yeah.
your salary analogy, right? Like let's say that I thought I was gonna sign up for a job that was gonna pay me, let's say I get, we'll say $2,000 or whatever every single paycheck, right? I would, at least that's what I'm hoping for. It would feel like for 50 out of the 52 weeks, I was getting maybe at best $500. So a quarter of the salary I thought I was getting. When I got Yao Ming, that felt like $10,000, right? So I felt like in one paycheck, I made 5 times the amount of money I thought I was going to make on a weekly basis. But because that was only one out of the 50 weeks, it doesn't really hit home for me, right? Like, okay, I got
Right.
Yao Ming. Yao Ming is awesome. I love that Yao Ming card. And that Yao Ming card breathed a lot of life back into this game mode. I enjoyed playing Showdown with Yao Ming. I enjoyed playing Park with Yao Ming over the weekend. But for every Yao Ming, there's over 100, probably over
Yeah.
500 RNG rewards that have been bad for me.
And that's the scary thing. 2K wants you to go through they want you to go through months and months of being disappointed with what
Yeah,
you're getting. So then when you finally get that Yao Ming, you're like, "All right, like I'm ready to do this again next season." It's like
yeah,
it's crazy. And I think what was I gonna say? Yeah, and I think the sad part is like there's so many ways around this to make it slightly more bearable, and they choose not to. Like I think even if there is an option where you can get an RNG player, or you can trade that for MT, and it could be a good amount of MT, but
yeah,
it's your choice. Do you want to waste it on a chance for a player you already have, or do you want to take like Madden does stuff like that, where I think they used to do that for solo battles, maybe, where it was like you can. When you're done with the solo battles,
yes,
you can get the quick sell reward, or you can take your chance and get like a Hail Mary pack or whatever it was, and then maybe
yes,
get a good player. But at least you had a choice, which I think would have been that would have been so much better. Or
yeah.
even like it's inexcusable that you can get a player that you already have. There should always be an exchange or anything that you can do to make it more worth it, because it's like again, they have no respect for their fan base, and I think that's like the biggest example of it.
Yeah, well, you know what? Well, I was going to talk about the exchange in our next segment, which I guess we can just jump into right now. I want to throw this to you first because I have a number of points I want to bring up in this segment, and this segment is basically where has NBA 2K25 My Team flopped? I know you talked about the gameplay. If you want to talk more about the gameplay here, you can. If you want to save it for the hot takes,
I'll
uh,
save that for later. Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Is there anything you want to touch on what they have flopped on? Anything before I go into a few different
Yeah,
things?
plenty of things. And I just want to I think the one thing I'll really hone in on is I thought about this today. I think the biggest flop of my team is totally intentional, so I don't want it to make it seem like this was like a screw up, like this was intentional. I think the biggest flop happened before the game even came out, and it's something that Jan foresaw before. I think a lot of us, like
Oh
I'd even
boy,
say
talk to
like
me. What did I
90
do?
plus percent of the community realized, and I didn't realize until like we were in the game. And I think Jan even said this in the podcast before the game even came out, which is I think the biggest flop is the mindset of 2K, the devs going into this game, which was they're going to punish us for the outcry of wanting the auction house back.
Yeah,
You know, they
yeah,
they intentionally were upset, I think, over how angry because I mean, listen, there were so many articles, posted by like high-end journalists about how the flop of 2K24 because of how upset people were about the not having an auction house and how bad the player market, but that's a whole other conversation. But they went into this game saying, "We're going to give you the auction house back, but in return, we're going to ruin everything else." It's like the trailer came out, they painted a beautiful picture of what the revamp was going to be like. We were going to have a new offline mode breakout, we were going to have showtime, we were going to have all these other things, and it just ended up being like a complete like slap in the face to all of us. They minimized all the modes, they took out modes that fans beloved, like triple threat online, clutch time, offline and online games that you could just hang out on, chill. And this it, they perp it's like they were pretty much saying we're going to give you the auction house back, but we're going to make it more obvious than ever, even more obvious than last year, that we only care about the money. Because
Yep.
I mean, we can go into it later on, but it's like, you know the reason they took out, and we're going to sound like a broken record, but the reason they took out triple threat and clutch time and all these modes that were up to 21 or up to 5-minute quarters is because they don't want you to be able to get by with, lower tier teams. They want you
Yeah.
to get, they want you to play. I mean, salary cap, I guess, is the one exception, but like, I mean, we were seeing after the first couple months how exponentially higher the salary cap points we're getting just because
Yeah.
they want to force the prices up and they want you to have to get a better team, an expensive team. But it's your choices are either you're going to waste your time playing breakout, you can go into showtime and get your ass kicked by god squads, people who spend so much money. It's either put up your money or play every second of the day or go home because you're not competing with anyone elsewise, you know so I think the biggest flop, which kind of generalizes everything, is kind of the mindset that we're going to punish the fan base and make them kind of they want more than anything for the people to be like, I miss 2K24, I miss the player market. And people, they succeeded because so many people said that this year, you know. So I think it's just sad that like that's the little respect that they have for us. Again, it's like that they just want to keep beating you down with such a bad product that they want you to be like, maybe I do miss the crap that we were eating for breakfast last year. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
kid that's crying for a toy nonstop. So the parents are like, all right, we're going to give you the toy. But in return, those, 3 meals that you get every day that you take for granted, those are going away.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I know I'm kind of speaking in like a tangent, but it's just kind of like, I think I think another reason that made quitting the game so easy this year is because, again, like you said, or maybe you said this before we did the podcast. I think you
Mm-hmm.
did, but it's like me not playing the game has no effect on 2K. They don't care because
Yeah.
we're not the target audience that they want.
Nope.
They only care about the people spending money on these promos every week. And again, like, of course they're gonna care a lot about the people spending money. Like if they weren't, this wouldn't be a financially successful game. But you have to care about the other people playing in it. Like I know I always say this, I hate comparing it to Madden, but like look at Madden, how like, and Madden isn't even in the best spot that it used to be, but like I think they do a good job of, yes, they care about the people who spend money and they still have promos and they still have all these packs and it's, whatever, but
Yeah.
they still also put in effort to have creative promos and challenges and stuff for people to do, so you're not just getting on and doing the same thing over and over and over again. So, again, I think the biggest flop is really just the mindset of 2K this year, which really was just a big screw you to the fan base who care about grinding the game.
Yeah, no, that was all very very well said. I want to touch on a couple of the points that you made. Obviously, the auction house was in one of my bullet points under the where have they flopped category. And the main point that I was actually going to bring up was not the point that you brought up because, like, yes, I did say that them bringing back the auction house because of the way they dramatized it. It was the only thing, if you remember Harry, the only thing they put on Twitter before the courtside report came out was the auction house is coming back. And I think Ronnie 2K or just maybe
Yeah,
the regular
yeah.
My Team, they even dropped a teaser tweet for that tweet before the courtside report came out. they were like something big is coming back, and they're like the auction house just to
Well,
get.
well, didn't Ronnie said something? Well, because it's funny because Ronnie said something on Twitter like, and then Jen and I used to always laugh at this. What did he say? He was something like it's coming back and my team fans will rejoice or something. It's like
Yes, something along those lines.
he
Yeah.
knew going into it that like that was such a bowl of crap or whatever. Like he knew
Yes.
that like like they're mocking us. It's like like you're getting it back, and it's funny because it's like this is the most dead auction house I think that's ever been in 2K because in return of giving us back the auction house, they we have the the waiting times of getting cards, the escrow which is still in the game,
Yep.
the fact that you can lose out or you can what is it? You can lose out on like a bid for a card and you still have to wait to get your MT back or whatever ridiculousness. And then it's like the pack odds are so ridiculously bad that like there's hardly any snipes anyways. So it's like
Yeah.
you can snipe. Remember that? Remember those days of me sniping like for hours and not getting a single. I was so determined to get one pink diamond snipe.
I
It
remember.
was like it's just so depressing. It's like so it's even to go back to my analogy. It's like the parents gave the toy to the kid, but the toy is like you know he has like an amputated leg or something. It's like not
Yeah.
even the toy that he wanted. So it's like
Yeah.
it's just so depressing what this game is. And honestly, and it's like take me. Like I'll even admit, like I hated the player market more than like Jan and I. We typically agree on a lot of things, but I think that was something that we kind of disagreed on because I thought that the auction house was like a I think Jan agreed that the auction house. We had a whole argument, I think, on one of the pods. I think Jan, your take was that the auction house is a staple of my team, but it's not necessary. And I thought the auction house was like the core of my team because
Yeah.
it's a player trading card. It's a card trading game, so you
Yeah. No,
need
it's
that
very important.
ability to trade cards. So I was thinking that bringing it back would save my teams, and I didn't think that even if the player market was perfect, it could replace an auction house. And like I was the person that said to Jan a couple months into the game, I was like, I was like, I think I even got on 2K24 for like a week to play it. Like I missed the player market because it was just so. It was. I mean, that wasn't executed great, but this auction house had so many flaws and stuff that we've never seen in an auction house. So I know I'm kind of,
No,
talking
no,
in a
you're fine.
circle,
Well, look,
but
I wanted to say one thing real quick while we're on this topic. It's not that I thought the player market was better than the auction house. I think the auction house is better than the player market, and I think the auction house is better for the overall health of any of these card collecting ultimate team style game modes. I think you need an auction house, and I think what 2K did between 2K24 and 2K25 was they basically showed if they have a player market implemented in place of an auction house, that you need to have game mode rewards that make the community feel rewarded because
yes,
what these people that play the game lose by losing the auction house is the ability to work the auction house to make MT that way. There is a large portion of the no money spent community who spent their time sniping. I used to snipe all the time. I think the main activity I did on my streams on Twitch back in 2K15, 16, and 17 was working the auction house. Back in the day, we used to have a timed auction house. We used to say call nines. You used to every 30 minutes let everyone know in chat, hey, the refresh happened. Go and check all your filters, see if a card that you wanted popped up on those filters. I used to love that stuff, but as I've gotten older and I didn't want to spend as much time on the auction house, and I just, I'm a guy that loves basketball. That's why I think
right.
all of us play NBA 2K. I wanted to just play the game, and I would spend some time here and there working the auction house, but like not as much. And so for me, last year, what was kind of nice with 2K24 was with the player market being in place, it forced people to play the game, not stock market simulator for the entire time. I think if you found the happy medium, that's great. But regardless, I still think auction house is better for the game. To Harry's point, I think the auction house is a staple. The problem is, I think 2K has kind of put us as a community in this position where there's a fork in the road. If you get the player market, you're going to have what last year felt like decently rewarding game modes, at least compared to what we have this year. And it just felt more rewarding when I played the game compared to this year, where we get the auction house back. But to Harry's point, and this was my third bullet point under where 2K is flopped, the auction house escrow, in my opinion, mostly hurt the people who on promo days would buy and flip cards, right? This doesn't really hurt the people that are spending a million plus MT on, that Galaxy Opal Victor Wembanyama when he drops, or, the LeBron James or the Kevin Durant. It doesn't hurt them as much as the people that were used to making, 100,000 MT on a promo day, buying cards that came out on that day for, a few thousand to maybe multiple thousands of MT less than market price, and then flipping them. Because for every card you buy, you need to wait 30 minutes to an hour for that card to be able to be removed from your auction outcomes and placed into your outcomes. I think that was the biggest portion of the community that was hurt by the escrow. I mean, would you agree with that, Harry? Does that make sense?
Sorry, what are you asking?
So I'm saying, in terms of what the auction house escrow effectively did, if you were to tell me, like, what I'm telling you is, I believe the community, the portion of the community that was hurt the most with the auction house escrow being implemented, were the people, not the people that were just buying like one or two high end meta cards, because they're fine waiting 30 minutes to an hour for that card to be available to be redeemed from your auction house outcomes. I'm saying the people that were used to working the auction house on promo days, on content days, buying and flipping cards. Like, let's say, for example, tomorrow's Tuesday, we get a brand new set of agendas, and you need to have a lineup with 13 Knicks players in order to get this agenda set done. Smart people could have gone and bought a bunch of Knicks players and then flipped them, but because of the escrow, you got to wait like 30 minutes to an hour for each of those Knicks players to be available for you to redeem from your outcomes. I feel like those people were hurt more with the escrow than anyone else.
Oh, yeah, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I get it. It hurts the grinders. It's what 2K they wanted to do. I mean, even
Yes.
like I was as like a side hustle, I've been like babysitting this kid who plays my team, and it's been kind of interesting seeing his reactions as like a 9-year-old playing my team, which like
Yes,
I
that's
can't
right.
imagine playing my team as a 9-year or yeah, as a 9-year-old. And his team is so bad. Like we were playing a domination game and getting killed. Like I couldn't even save this kid with my skill level with his bad team. And it was kind of heartbreaking seeing him get so excited over. And I haven't played my team in months, so I like forgot about the escrow. But we were like, we like saved up MT to buy a player so we can finally win this domination game. And then we
They
went
have
to
to
our
wait.
outcomes, and then I was like, oh yeah, we can't even use him. We have to wait. So then we were like, then he looked at me and he said, I guess we can try domination again. And I was like, now we have to really play this game again and get our ass kicked again. And it was just like, again, it's like they're not hurting you. I think the point you're trying to make is they're not hurting the people spending money. They're hurting again the grinders, and it's just again, it's they make you feel like you're not even wanted on the game by the company.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So if I may, I want to just touch on a couple of the things that I have in
Go
my
for it.
list for where I think the game has flopped. I think a lot of people, if you were to ask a lot of people, and maybe if you're watching this video, it's, by the way, if you made it to this point in the video, shout out to you guys. We appreciate you guys. Um, I think if you polled a bunch of people playing this game mode right now, they would say the biggest issue is the game mode rewards, which I totally get, totally valid. I want to start with something that I think is much more damning to me, and this is, I don't want to say it's personal because it's not really that deep, but it's more so the thing that they removed that hurt me the most. Harry, do you have any guess what this is?
You have to go CTO.
Yeah, Clutch Time Online. The removal of Clutch Time Online hurt me, I think, the most because, it originally made no sense why they would bring back basically every game mode with the exception of, you get rid of Triple Threat Online Park, but you're modifying it. I'm throwing up air quotes, Harry. You're modifying it to Park, right? You're expanding on Triple Threat Online. That was the whole pitch, right? But there was no reason for them removing Clutch Time Online. The only thing they told us, if you remember, Harry, what game mode did they tell us in the courtside report was supposed to be the new casual mode to replace Clutch Time? Do you recall what they told us?
Breakout, I assume, right?
No, so Breakout was offline.
Oh,
The
online, you're
Yes,
saying.
for online. I apologize. Yes, for online, it was supposed to be salary cap.
With salary cap,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
salary cap. So salary cap, I think, started as the casual game mode. The issue was that, so basically, Harry, I forgot to mention this, but So in Showdown, basically, once you got to tier one of Showdown, which if you remember, Harry, you and I were actually really excited talking about they could nail Showdown and make this one of the best 5v5 online ladder modes in my team
Well,
history.
also just to quickly add, we could just
Yes, sure.
completely
Go ahead,
keep
please.
going. I remember when we had saw I remember when there was a list of rewards, and I immediately assumed that these rewards were for beating like the first tier of Showtime or
Oh
Showdown or
yeah,
Showtime or whatever.
I
And I
remember this.
remember and I remember getting so excited. I was like, Jan, this is what we get for just beating the first tier. I was like, can you imagine what you get for beating the whole thing? And I think you were being like more like more pessimistic about it. And you were like, I don't think you're right on this one. And I don't know why I
Dude,
was so confident
yes.
that this was the way. And that like some person who beat
Oh my God.
Showtime in like the first weekend, like those were the rewards for just beating the whole thing. And I was like, the rewards that I thought were incredible for beating the first one, like the best
Yeah.
rewards 2K has ever given you for playing online, became like the worst rewards of all time for
Yeah.
devoting so much time into a mode and
Yes.
beating it just to get like. Remember, it was like I'm sure it's
No,
still
Harry,
like
I
that
remember
now.
it
But
was
well,
because you had just started Showdown and you were like, dude, these are the tier one rewards. Imagine what tier 15 is going to look like. And I'm telling you, like, Harry, you start at tier 15. The tier
yeah,
one
exactly.
rewards are the final
That was
rewards.
it. That was why I got so confused, right? And dude, what was it? It was like 120 wins for like a 10-pack box or some
Yes.
ridiculous thing.
Yes, Harry,
It's
it's
like,
not gotten much better. Let me tell you. They've scaled the rewards somewhat appropriately, but the rewards for 120 wins are still putrid. They're awful.
oh my God.
Yes. So anyways, going back to what I was saying, they removed Clutch Time Online and they tell us in the blog, or maybe it was on one of the first Friday Twitch streams with Harry's boy Evan. He mentions, or this mentioned in the blog, that salary cap is meant to be the casual game mode. And what we've seen, at least what I've seen, and if you guys do not agree, let me know in the comments. Again, this is just my opinion. What I think we've seen over the last few months is 2K recognizing that the few casuals that are left on this platform, or on this game rather, are playing salary cap. And so what 2K did, which is really smart because this whole year has felt like them trying to put the squeeze on the people that don't spend money to frustrate them and basically bully them in any way they can, right? We'll talk about what my second bullet point is in a second, but when it comes to the online aspect, if salary cap is meant to be for the casuals, you make the best game mode rewards out of all the game modes, online and offline. You put them in salary cap. And so what effectively happens is if you play Showdown and you hit tier one of Showdown, Harry, all you play against are sweaty God squads every single game. Every single game is an absolute hellfest, and you don't enjoy playing that game. I have not gotten that far into Showdown because tier one of Showdown scares me, and I don't want to play. I don't want to get. I think I'm like at tier 11 right now, and even that surprises me. You know, because I'm dominating every Showdown game I play right now. I'm kicking ass. When I play King of the Court, I'm going 6-1 every weekend. It's not that I'm actually more confident in my gameplay this year than I am in almost any other year of my team. Well, actually, okay, that's not true. But in recent years of my team, I think I'm almost more confident this year than I was maybe last year. And I was really confident. My clutch time online
Yeah.
record last year was pretty good by my own standards. But I mentioned that to say that tier one of Showdown, if I were to play that game mode, or if I were to play in Showdown in tier one, my win percentage would probably be 20% because of how good those players are, and more importantly, how good their teams are. And so I think a lot of those people that were probably in the same position that I'm saying I would be in hypothetically, and they're dealing with that position in tier one of Showdown realistically, they now don't have Showdown anymore because they know if they play Showdown, it's not going to be a fun experience. So, what is a fun experience if you want to play 5v5 online and you don't want to play Showdown? The only other game mode that there is online, and it happens to be the game mode with the best rewards, and that's salary cap. And so, what happens? All these people that don't want to play tier one of Showdown, but they're really good at the game, they all go to salary cap. And so now all of us casuals that have been just kind of relaxing and enjoying grinding salary cap, and to be fair, you can lose your way to 2500, but that comes at the expense of your confidence and your enjoyment of the game. And I think there are probably people that play that game where they're like, damn, Like I don't have some of these really high end players that my opponent is bringing in. I mean, the number of people that I played back when the Pink Diamond Wemby was almost a million MT, and they were bringing Pink Diamond Wemby into salary cap, and I couldn't guard him no matter what I did. It made the game mode really frustrating to play. And so 2K took the game mode that they marketed as their casual game mode and turned it into where the tier 1 showdown, I don't call them the rejects, so the people that are tired of playing tier 1 showdown come to basically hang out. And it made salary cap borderline not unplayable, but really frustrating, especially when you factor in that the rewards, while they are the best that this game has to offer, in my opinion, are all RNG. Breakout. I want to talk
Yeah,
about
and it's
break. Go ahead,
interesting
Harry.
too
Yes.
because
Yes, go ahead.
because it was like very meticulous too. Because I remember for like the first couple seasons, do you remember me telling you I was like how can you make sense of the fact that it seemed like the park wins, the Showtime wins? I was like, none of those rewards can possibly compare to salary cap, which you
Yeah.
don't need to spend any. Like I was like, is this a mistake on 2K's part? And then
No.
it seemed like after
Everything's
like season.
calculated. Everything's
Yes, and
calculated.
it seemed like they purposely went in with the mindset that they're gonna, for the first couple seasons, they were gonna let the no money spent guys enjoy this. They were gonna make people have fun on this game, and then immediately after that, I think we started noticing the salary cap points were like significantly rising every season when before it was like slowly going up, and then like you said, it kind of became the mode for the people who play Showtime, the comp, whatever, the rejects, as you said, that don't want to sweat for alpha rewards to come over there
Yeah.
while the points are getting higher, so now they have the luxury of buying better cards that some of the no money spent guys might not be able to afford. So it seems like, again, it's like sad even when you look at that perspective, just how much work they put in to, again, bully the grinders at all
Yeah, no,
costs.
exactly. It just felt like they really this year felt like a personal attack, in my opinion,
Yeah.
on the grinders. And I fully believe this. I've said it multiple times on this channel. I've said it to Harry multiple times over the years. And I believe this since the inception of these My Team Ultimate Team game modes. The backbone of My Team, of any Ultimate Team, Madden, college football, NHL, MLB The Show, Diamond Dynasty. I think the backbone of all of those communities are the offline grinders because there's a food chain, in my opinion, and the offline grinders to some extent are the minnows, right? And we have the whales. We all know what the whales are, right? The people that spend, a high amount of dollars on this game, weekly, monthly, annually, more so than the no money spent, or in my case, low money spent or pro money spent, because I only spend money on the pro pass really every single season. But the point is that the people that are no money spent or low money spent will grind this game out daily, and then the people that spend money do so because they don't have the time to grind this game out daily, or as often as they may like to, and then they spend their money in place of their time to build their team to try to beat on the people that don't have that same team, right? That's, in my opinion, that's the healthy ecosystem, because sometimes still the minnows can beat the people that are the whales because the minnows have spent more time playing the game and they are able to, because of skill, outplay the whales, which I think that makes the game mode healthy, in my opinion. Because my team right now, I don't want to say it's definitively play to win, but there are parts of it that are pay to win. Moving on from salary cap, just to keep this thing going, and the removal of Clutch Time Online, which is still my biggest gripe with this game. I miss Clutch Time Online. I wish it would come back for 2K26. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. Breakout, I think, arguably the biggest failure of my team this year. And again, it goes to what I just said. The no money spent, the grinders, whether you're no money spent, low money spent, high money spent, doesn't matter. If you play this game mode offline, historically, you played triple threat offline, you played clutch time offline, you played domination, you played, whatever. The point of breakout was to consolidate everything. And the idea, I mean, Harry, before I even move on, when we first heard about breakout, I remember us talking about it and you being somewhat intrigued by the concept of breakout. Am I wrong?
Okay. No, you're very right because I've said this for years, and I'll make it quick just on the
No,
podcast,
please go for it.
but One thing I always really liked about Madden is how they do their solos, where they have like kind of a list of solos, challenges that you can kind of go from challenge to challenge, and then you get your final reward.
Yes.
And sometimes you play full games towards the end, but most of the time they're like quick little things you can get done, score a touchdown, get 100 passing yards or whatever. So I thought, I've thought for years what 2K could do is to, even because I never liked the whole play out 100 triple threat games, play 100 clutch time game, whatever it is. I just felt that it's very repetitive all season. I thought what 2K could do is actually use their strength and combine all the offline modes, clutch time, full games, triple threat, and make one offline thing where you can grind challenges every week and get a reward. I thought that's how they can fix this issue and make it less repetitive, where you're doing different things each game and whatever, yada, yada, yada. And that's literally what they did. They took all the offline modes and they combined it into one thing, except they made the reward even worse than what it was before when you were grinding for a player. Now I mean, I don't even know what you're grinding for in Breakout, just terrible rewards. And I mean, like, it's kind of funny to like think about like how many like months did people play Breakout like still expecting like they could get good. I mean, remember Most Ballin making videos like the best way to do Breakout and going through these warp.
Yeah.
I mean, you were talking about that and going through these warp boards and all these different it was just so complex. They didn't even tell us how to play Breakout. It was like a board game with no instructions. They just said this
Yes.
is a mode you got to figure out how to play, and no one knew how to play.
Well,
And
see,
it
Harry,
was
I just want
purpose.
to correct one thing that you said really quick, and I will let you continue. See, you say complex. I don't like that word for breakout. I think the better word is
Okay.
confusing because they didn't give
Okay.
us any
Yeah.
information, right? Exactly like you said. And we used this analogy on the podcast before, you and I, that it does feel like just like you just said, a board game without the instructions. We didn't know how to play the game, and that's why like the videos that I had that blew up earlier in the year, like blew up by my own standards, were based on me finding things out. Most Ballin's videos that blew up on his channel were about Breakout, were when he discovered how to find warps, right? Like the excitement of that game mode wasn't in the rewards, it was in the mystery. And that's, in my opinion, the issue. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, again, you're right. It was just ridiculous that they purposely did that. Like people, the time that are people even still playing Breakout for like, are they still putting in like a high level cards and breakouts with like the less than 1% chance of seeing
Yeah,
them?
of
Are they
course
doing
they
that with?
are. Of course they
Okay, so
are.
they
But
are
I
doing
still
that.
have yet to see one. I mean, I don't play
Of
it as much
course.
as I used to, but you know.
But I remember, Jan, how much time, like, I would even, like, I hate to say it, but did you waste playing Breakout for all those, like, boards that you completed for, like, such awful rewards?
Yeah, no, too
Like,
much time.
talking about like, picking between a league pass or, like, 1,000 or whatever it was. It's just such awful. It just, I don't even know where the question was, but
Well, no,
it's,
so the
it's,
question was our original hype level towards Breakout. And I think just
yeah, no,
before I throw it
yes,
back to
exactly.
you,
So I
it's
was really excited. I was really
yes,
excited because it felt like they were finally doing what I wanted, combining everything into one
yes,
thing.
yes.
Except to my surprise, they did that, but then they gave us such awful RNG rewards that it
Yes.
just
Which
became such a
and
waste of time.
Harry, what was the one thing I told you when I saw in the courtside report that we were getting breakout with them consolidating all the rewards is they need to make that game mode very rewarding because if you're going to
Yeah,
take out triple threat offline and clutch time offline, you need to make the game modes rewarding. And the one thing we haven't talked about yet when it comes to the rewarding nature of these offline game modes is the fact that they removed the mini games, the ball drop, the wheel spin,
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
the
yeah.
door mini game. That was, I mean, those of you guys that rocked with me in NBA 2K24, I made a video talking about the best way to grind for. I think it was in season 3, the Pink Diamond Hakeem Olajuwon, and I talked about how to do it in clutch time offline and how while you're grinding to that Hakeem, you can make. I think it was like 2 million MT.
That could have been the greatest season of 2K history.
Well,
That
at
season,
least in two, you know what? It's tough to say. It could have been. It could have been. But
the
at
most
least,
rewarding, I would say that you could say
yes,
that the most
I will say
rewarding.
compared to anything we got this year, season 3 of NBA 2K24, my team, if you enjoyed playing offline with the door mini game, you were able to make. If you played the game a lot, I mean, I played it a decent amount. There are people that played it more than me. You could have easily made 3 to 5 million
Yeah,
MT
like
just playing that game mode.
go back and look at Jan playing those games because I remember like I would watch like I'd watch a video one week and then I'd look at the next week and it seemed like Jan like doubled his MT in like 3 days or whatever. It was like and it wasn't even just from him playing all day. It was just so rewarding. You were making like what, like 2,000 plus MT for every like 7 minutes or whatever. Times that
Yeah,
by like
yes,
how
yes.
many? It was insane. Like
It
you're
was
making so
crazy.
much MT.
Yes, and
Yeah.
now obviously with a player market, the MT amount's going to be skewed because the prices are set in stone with with 2K picking the
Well,
prices.
it became meaningless. Like
Right?
there was
Yes,
nothing to even
exactly.
buy.
Yeah. So like we had amethysts on day one costing like 140,000 MT, right? Like and all the amethysts, right? Whether it was a popular amethyst or an
Rudy
amethyst like
Gobert or whatever.
yeah, it was like I think it was Andrew Bogut and Jason
Yeah,
Williams were
that's
two
what I
of
was
the
thinking
day
of.
one
Yeah,
amethysts,
exactly.
right? In 2K24. And I don't know why I can recall that. But anyways, point is Breakout to me has so much potential, and on my notes when I'm listing the different areas where they flopped, I titled my second bullet point for Breakout the execution of Breakout because the idea of Breakout
It's
I
very
think is
good.
still
Yeah,
good. And
yeah.
I would say for 2K26, I wouldn't hate it if they kept Breakout, but I think if they bring back mini games and if they update it weekly, because that was my other issue in Clutch Time Offline, I'm pretty sure we got the promo packs from the most recent Friday's promo available to us in the door mini game, in the wheel spins, in the in the ball drops. But now, for example, we get random updates, and there's no rhyme or reason to when we get updates. It'll be like once every like 6 to 12 weeks, maybe even more like 12 to 18 weeks, which is really frustrating because if they're going to have one game mode for all the offline players to play, I feel like it's easier to invest in, or not even invest, but to make updates because it's just one game mode. It's not 2 to 3 different game modes. So
Yeah. Oh, and there's so many things they could have done. For holidays, they could have made it like a Halloween board, a Christmas board. Like there's so many cool things
absolutely.
that they yeah.
Well,
So
you know
there
what
has
else
to
they
be
could have?
ultimately there has to be some sort of guarantee. Like even I think the door game would at least help because at least all right, like I've done the math, I can walk away with X amount of MT. But there's not anything like that. So so there has to be something.
Yeah, no, no, absolutely, absolutely. And to your point, we're talking about updates. Breakout 100% needed to be updated, and I will stand by it. I think the removal of the rewards and the execution of Breakout is one of the biggest flops, honestly, in my opinion, in my team history, because you're taking what I think is the most important part of your community, which is the offline grinders, and you're basically trying to you're de-incentivizing them from wanting to play your game. And if we're going to talk about updates and another big change that they made to this game mode, and I think this is what's going to get Harry going because I think I
Hope you
played
get
more offline
where
than
I
you
hope
did.
you're going.
I'm sorry.
I hope you're leading to where I think you're leading.
Yeah, it's the removal of triple threat online and the
Boom.
implementation of the park and the
Yep.
way that do we get win streak rewards on some Sundays that are worth it? Sure, but first of all, the rewards that we get on Sunday win streaks outside of on event days are pretty terrible. And then what
Yeah.
we have for the other 6 days are awful. And to Harry's point about breakout, and this is the last thing I'll say, and I'm going to throw it to you, Harry. We didn't get any of like outside of events on
Jan,
just
yes,
Sundays.
we spent 3 seasons with the five. What was it? 3 seasons, 4 seasons with the five daily wins for like a league pass or league pack or whatever it
Yeah,
was. Like
or for like an amethyst. Harry, right now it's June. It's
no,
June 9th.
sorry, it wasn't a league pack. It was an 85 plus player for the
Yes,
five
yes.
wins during the
Harry, I just
weekdays.
want you to know, and then I'm gonna throw it to you. It is currently we're recording this. It is 10:20 p.m. Eastern on Monday, June 9th. The reward right now, I believe, for winning 5 games in a row in the park is a pink diamond.
Oh, good
Random
lord.
pink diamond when we have Galaxy Opals that have been out for months, Dark Matters that
Yeah.
have been out since 2024, 100 overalls, Invincibles, and Goats. So we have 4 to 5 tiers above pink diamonds, and yet that's the reward for winning 5 games in a row every single day on the park. Harry, go ahead.
Yeah, I won't go as long, I promise,
No,
but I
you
think
can. It's fine. You're passionate about this. I know you are. You
yeah,
love you
so
love 3v3.
yes, so the one thing I disagree with Jan is to me this is the biggest flop of my team. And
Yeah, that's fine.
it's funny because Similar to how Jan felt about the auction house, because I think Jan knew that it would get to the point where people were gonna miss the player market. I
Yes.
think I was the only person that was negative about the park from the day the
Yes.
news broke.
This is true.
Literally,
This is true.
I was cringing when the My Team video blog came out, and I was seeing, tweet after tweet. Oh my God, this is the greatest thing. We get to be on the 2K16 courts. This is gonna be so
Yes.
great. This is the best edition of my. Everybody was talking about how great this was going to be, and I knew immediately that this was going to be terrible. I'm someone who loves 3v3. Like how Jan felt about clutch time, to me that was always triple threat.
Yeah.
In 2K24, I remember grinding for the Chris Bosh, the gauntlet. You have to win. I forget how many wins you had to get, but like 3v3 to me is my bread and butter. It's always been like that. Every year, like I love triple threat. The quick games up to 21. You could experiment with different teams. You can chill. You don't have to. You can bring in your best players. You can bring in budget players. The opportunities are endless. You could play it any way you want. Um, the rewards haven't always been great. There's been years like 2K19, the first year at the ball drop, the rewards were incredible. You win sometimes you win games to be able to drop balls for some of the best players in the game. But ultimately it became kind of a nothing burger over the last few years, but I still love the game just cuz I love 3v3. So the second I saw that they were doing this park thing, I it was like, all right, so now we're going to like immediately play a game instantaneously. Now we have to wait for a game. And like to me, this is still like insane to me. The fact that like it's like losing a game sucks. It'll always suck just because who likes to lose games? But then knowing that now you have to either quit to go to a new park or have to wait what could be 15, 20 minutes for a game, it's like no one should have to wait to play a game that they like. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, even look at the park now. Like for my players, they added that whole theater, which is such a great idea, where you have instant matchmaking for ones, twos, threes, fours. It's because people have been wanting that for so many years because the current system of having to wait for park games in 2025 is terrible. Like it just, it's not like that in any other game. You just instantly play a game. So the fact that they took away my favorite mode and they turned it into something that you have to wait to play games. It's like it's not. They took for me. It was like again, like most of the time, I enjoyed bringing in budget players and stuff like that because it was like quick games 21. If you lose, you lose. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But now it's like. Why would I even want to do that? Because now I'm just risking losing and then having to wait like 20 minutes to play another game. So it's like it just completely took out the fun. I mean, I'm not even going to go into the rewards because Jan already dove into that, but just terrible. We spent so many seasons every day going 5-0. And that was another thing. I hate the whole undefeated thing because ever since the 12 and O's and unlimited, it's like you go 11 and 0, then you lose, you wasted your time. You go 4 and 0, you lose, you wasted your time. So it's like nothing should ever be go undefeated. So it was
Yeah.
like, and I complained about that for years. So it felt like they were just doing a screw you to me because they were ruining my mode, making you have to wait for games, and then on top of that, making you go undefeated for not even good rewards.
Yeah.
Um,
Like I will say the one
so
thing I'll say because obviously, like we mentioned, Harry's not really played my team basically in the 2025 calendar year. I've
yeah,
been playing a number of park games during these event Sunday win streaks. That's the only time I really ever play park. Um, with my buddy that I've become friends with through Reddit now. Shout out Delos Muertos on Reddit. We've basically gone every single Sunday win streak that we've tried. Usually on the first go, which is great. But the number of times we've played where we'll hit our 4 game streak, we need a fifth, and we have no one coming to queue against us, and we have to wait 15, 20,
yeah,
25 minutes for 3 people to show up. It's annoying, even when it's just like 10 to 15 minutes. That's 10 to 15 minutes is 2 to 3 triple threat online games in 2K 2024 or any other 2K game before that.
yeah. And think about it. If you're busy, you have work, you have school, you only have 2 hours to play 2K. Like having to wait those 15 minutes, and you're not gonna win every game, so you're gonna have to do that at least a few times. It's such a time stealer. It's ridiculous. And then it's like, you know, again, and I'll even preface, I think co-op in the park is a great idea. Like I think if that was the pitch
Yeah,
and they actually centered that with good rewards, like I think that would have been a really cool idea. But
yeah,
like doing that to to like a 1v1 sort of thing with three whatever where you bring in three players and they bring in three players, it just doesn't make any sense. And
No.
again, it's like to me it's the big and it's funny because I think if you were to ask 100 people in the community, like 95 of them or whatever would say that they miss triple threat. So to me, I find that so validating because I saw all these problems before it even happened. I didn't even, and it felt like and then to find out the whole thing when the game came out that, oh, if you open packs, it'll appear on the screen. Like it was all just another way that 2K can make money. And it was a big screw you to people. Because again, they don't want you to have fun on my team with the lower team. They want you to go on with three players that suck, get your ass kicked, then have to wait 20 minutes to play another game and then say, this sucks. Now I have to spend money to buy a better team. So it's just such ridiculousness. So to me it's sad because like I think even as much as I didn't like the gameplay this year, I think if we had a solid triple threat, I think I would have stayed with the game a lot longer. I would have gone back to play it, but so I think Jan and it's sad that like both of our different favorite modes, game modes that we love, were just completely ripped away from us. In Jan's case, was literally taken from the game, but for me, it was made into a mode that like doesn't even resemble at all the greatness that used to be triple threat online.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that if you want to play triple threat offline or online rather, you need to play old gen.
Dude, and how remember how long I was doing that for?
Yeah, for a long time.
And
I
I
mean,
was like, this is getting ridiculous.
yeah, I
Like
mean,
it was
there was a whole string of messages
oh my god,
between
yeah,
Harry and Evan 2K where Harry was trying to
god.
get the reward ladder to be
Well, that was just
accepted
me.
on old
Like
gen.
I will be the lawyer for the current gen community because they were literally I don't know what they're doing now, but they were literally hand picking like some events would be current gen, then other events you couldn't do on Park. It was or Triple Threat online.
Hmm.
It was just like ridiculous. Like they were just pick and choosing what they wanted grinders to be able to. It's like if you're gonna do it, just do it for everything or don't do it for it all. Like don't
Yeah.
dangle it in our faces and but
No, I mean, I will say
yeah. So
currently the ladder that they have for Triple Threat Online Park is only for Triple Threat Online Park, not for Triple Threat Online
Well, that was
on
my
old gen.
biggest thing. It was like, why? So I that's just mean to me. It was like I get the whole like it's next gen now or whatever it is now current gen, but it's like I just find it so like it's that only like some events that you could do that for, but other events you can I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
No,
don't know. So
definitely.
I'm very curious what next year is like. And we'll talk
Yes,
about that
we
later on.
will. We
But
will.
it's like
I only have
it's
one more thing that I want
go
to just
for it.
quickly mention because we already talked about the RNG rewards. I mean, I guess very briefly, all I'm gonna say is I know there's some people that are like, oh, I don't really care about game mode rewards having guaranteed rewards because those guaranteed rewards aren't the best cards in the game. I get that. I just feel like having an RNG reward for everything it makes it really difficult to want to grind certain game modes when you can get. I mean, the idea is you can get literally anything, but we've seen
But
whether it's a
exactly.
grindable
You're
reward or it's like a pack reward. Like for example, and Harry, I just want to tell you this because you're not on
yeah,
the
go for
game
it.
currently. This past Friday, we got the new champion set and we have these 51 pack boxes for $100 and you would get a guaranteed 100 overall topper from the set if you bought that box on Friday. And of those 100 overalls, there were four of them. Okay, 100 overall Giannis Antetokounmpo, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Tony Parker. I want you to guess which of those cards was pulled by far the most often out of those four.
I have to guess Tony Parker's.
Yeah, you are the winner. Yes, Tony Parker. Ding, ding,
Yeah.
ding. You are correct. It's just and the way that that box is has been implemented is the way rewards are implemented. When you're grinding for an RNG dark matter for an RNG 100 overall, the odds. I mean, I can't say this definitively. Just my opinion. I think the odds are clearly skewed towards the dark matters, towards the 100 overalls that are undesirable, the ones that you don't want, right? You want the 100 overall Yao Ming that I was lucky enough to get, but for every person like me who got Yao Ming, there were hundreds that got 100 overall Devin Booker or Luka Doncic, two of the first 100 overalls that came out that most people don't really want. Do you have anything that you want to add on when it comes to RNG rewards and having them be RNG awards for every game mode, rather, Harry, and having them, I mean, in my opinion, and I think probably your opinion too, if you play the game, be weighed towards the undesirable ones.
Yeah, and I was gonna say like those awful like those Tony Parkers and those awful cards you're getting, like those would have been the rewards for triple threat online or offline or you know what I mean? So it's pretty much like I don't know. I see the point. Like maybe that is a good point that you're grinding towards something, and maybe you like Tony Parker would have been the triple threat offline reward anyways, but now you have a chance, like a very slow chance of getting that better card. But like,
Yeah,
there's
but what's
just so
that?
many seasons.
What is that difference, Harry? I want to be very clear here. I think the difference is if you know you're grinding for Tony Parker, you're probably not gonna grind that game mode, right? But I think with 2K this year, they know that they've kind of limited their game modes, and so they don't want you to know that you're grinding for a bad reward, and so they're gonna give you a chance at a better reward, but that chance is so slim that you're gonna probably. I think the majority of people that are grinding out game modes like salary cap, like me, have probably gotten similar rewards like me the past 2 seasons in salary cap,
All
grinding
right,
out.
but let me ask you though, out of
Yeah,
curiosity, do you think the same people that like do you think if it what do you think what do you think the reaction of the 2K community would have been if it was more obvious? Like let's say they literally showed your pack odds, your grind odds, I could say, when you're grinding, and you knew that like I don't know, 95% you were gonna get that Tony Parker, but there's a five whatever the odds were of getting that better card. Like, do you think that in that case, like, do you think that would have been obviously that's more like that's more of an acceptable way to go because then you know for a fact, all right, if I commit to this, I'm probably going to get that Tony Parker, but there's a chance, a small chance, I'm going to get that better card.
yeah.
Like, do you think it would have been the same amount of people still willing to
No,
take
I
that
think less
gamble?
people would have played the game, and I think I like if you would have told me that I have a higher chance of getting like a much higher chance. Like if you're saying 90 to 95% chance that I would get a Tony Parker, in my case in salary cap, a dark matter Ray Allen, a dark matter DeMar DeRozan, over the dark matters that I would have wanted, I probably wouldn't have played the game mode because the rewards along the way were pretty bad. And if I'm gonna have bad rewards along the way, and then have a bad ending reward, and then remember what I was saying at the beginning, that the games that I'm playing are against these people that do not want to play tier one of Showdown, but are really good at the game and have really good players and know how to build their lineups. You're taking what's supposed to be a casual game mode and you're turning it into a super sweat fest. For me to put myself through what if each season is 6 weeks, if I'm putting myself through 12 weeks of sweatiness for Dark Matter Ray Allen and Dark Matter DeMar DeRozan, had you told me that, I probably would have chosen to spend my time elsewhere. So I probably would not have played the game mode. No.
But that's why I say this community gets everything they deserve because they've had 8 seasons of no of really seeing that those are probably the odds. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No,
And
I
just
agree.
but and again, to also go back to what I was saying before, and then we'll just go to the next topic. The reason that I really wanted the breakout was because I was hoping that instead of 5 mediocre rewards, they'd just give us one great reward combining all the modes. So it was like they don't have to give it because obviously they're not going to give us 5 great amazing players for each of the offline and online modes or whatever. But now they can just give us one. And little did I know we like they would just give us one really bad reward. Um so yeah, I don't know. It just I can see the point to go back to it that like, maybe that you have a slight chance of getting that good card, but again, it's like it's just I don't know. Like it just seems like this community it's like they've just I don't know why they put up with this every season. And the point I was trying to make is like I could see that maybe that would be cool for a season or two, but I think there's just like there's so much RNG that you can grind for every season without burning
Yeah.
out. Like you have to know like at least at some point that you're grinding for something that because that's it's life, you know? You have goals in life and you work towards those goals. It's like you need to have something to look forward to instead of just a big mystery box that you don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah,
So
like you
I
look
think
at
that's why
salary
that's
cap
why I got
last season, Harry, like we knew what the rewards were for every round and what the ultimate reward was for every season, right?
right.
Like and then you could determine at the beginning of the season, is it worth me grinding, all this? And there were some times that 2K did botch it last year. Like I remember, I think it was season 1, they had Victor Oladipo, who was I think the round 1 reward as shooting guard small forward, and then they determined at like the last second that Victor Oladipo is going to now be point guard eligible. And I think if people knew that earlier, they would have grinded for it. But by the time 2K announced it, it was too late for the people that hadn't started playing salary cap to grind that out. But like outside of that, it was nice knowing what you're grinding for.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. And that's why I think I got so burnt out when I did those 100 or 100. What was it? Like I think it was like 300 park wins or whatever in season 2.
yeah,
And then I was like, now I have to do this again for another award that I don't even know what I'm grinding for. Like
exactly.
I couldn't mentally do it. So I don't understand how people are still doing that.
No, absolutely.
And, sorry, you can keep
No,
going.
you're good. No, the last thing I'll say in terms of where 2K flopped, and I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it, just because I want to get on to our next topic here. But I do think you could spend actually a decent amount of time talking about this because it's a sneaky thing that people aren't talking about. It's the way they nerfed the exchange this year, because the exchange was how I made a lot of MT last year. It's how I made a lot of acquisitions to my team through taking rewards that I got from playing clutch time offline and triple threat offline, and taking my duplicates and turning them into packs and into other ways to make MT, and again, to get more packs, to potentially get more players. I mean, the number of good players that I got out of exchange packs last year was insane in my opinion, and we don't have that capability this year. Right now,
Did you
I'm
remember in
better.
the beginning we couldn't even put in unsellable cards into it?
Yes, I
Or was it
remember that was
still? Yeah,
awful. And
yeah.
then they fixed that, but even like now
Right.
we're in June and I'm getting duplicate cards, and I feel like I'm better off quick selling a duplicate pink diamond
Oh
or
yeah,
a duplicate
100%.
galaxy opal for 2500 MT versus putting it into the exchange to get one piece or one leg closer to a random Hall of Fame badge. It's going to be a useless badge like versatile visionary. Like, I don't care about that. I'm tired of getting RNG rewards, and I would rather take the guaranteed value. That's what I talk about in every video that I upload, which hasn't been as much recently, but in the past, about these events. When I talk about I'd rather exchange what I get from grinding the game in the exchange for guaranteed rewards, because I'd rather have a guarantee than
Mm.
gamble and get something I more than likely will not use. Let's move on now to the hot takes, Harry. Do you? I'm gonna ask you. Do you want to lead, or do I only have one? Do you want to lead? I know you have, I think, a number of things you may want to talk about here. So I'm gonna let you decide if you want me to go first or if you want to go first.
Um, I'll go first. I don't know if this is really a hot take, but this is kind of just something that I think.
Okay.
And I think that more so in terms of gameplay, I think that next gen as a whole has been like a big flop. Like for me, I don't know if it's
Okay.
been like that for a lot of people, but that's when it kind of hit me this year. I have not enjoyed the gameplay since I think the last year I kind of enjoyed was 2K20 maybe, and that's crazy because that way, especially I love 2K19, so I love 2K19. I think I like 2K20, but I really haven't enjoyed gameplay since, which is crazy given that was almost 6 years ago. So for me,
That's really bad.
I just think it's sad. Like I think this like they have not capitalized. They have not made a fun basketball game in the last 6 years. I think that's pretty like it's a pretty hot take. I think it's crazy that and it's funny too because I kind of never forgot this. I had a friend who's like very into video games in college, and like he was not like a sports gamer. He was into like all those like a real gamer that played like all the games. Like I never classify 2K as like a gamer kind of thing, because if you tell a gamer, like a real gamer, you play 2K, they kind of laugh at you like, all right, you like that's not doesn't count. But I remember
Yeah.
he walked in, I think I was playing 2K24 maybe or something, and he walked into my room and he just saw me playing, and he was like, this is 2K24? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, this doesn't look good. And I thought that was really interesting that you had someone who doesn't care about basketball, doesn't play basketball games, but he saw the game and he said, for like the standards that we have now, like the game doesn't even look visually good, you know? So I just feel like next gen as a whole is just not, I think it just could have been a lot better. I think the jump from PS4 to PS5, or the jump from current gen to next gen, has really just not been good. Gameplay wise, I think has really been bad. I just think it should have been a lot better. I mean, you look at other games and their graphics are just insane, and you look at 2K and it's like, I don't see it as simulation. There's nothing simulation about it. I think like it's a super slow basketball game. Like it's just not fun. I don't think it looks great enough to make up for how like awful the gameplay is. Like I just think Yeah, I don't know. There's definitely a better way to put it. I just think that for me, the past like six or whatever 2Ks in a row have just not been good. So for me, I think by to wrap it up in a bow, I think next gen has just been really, really disappointing for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there are a number of people that play King of the Court on old gen for that exact reason. They just feel
What does
like
that tell you
the gameplay is
exactly? Yeah.
unrealistic and it's just not enjoyable, which, I mean, it's really sad. You would hope that a console with what you believe are, better qualities than, like I have an Xbox Series X. You would think that, this Xbox has, better, has higher, performance, processes or whatever than the Xbox, Xbox One, right? I think that was the previous console. I had a PS4 before this.
Right.
But you would think that like this console would be able to have, higher processes than the
It
previous
should be so
console.
smooth
It should be able to,
it should,
yes.
like how again, how does it make sense? Like I could dribble fast. I'm not even like insane at basketball, but I can dribble faster in real life than Curry, Kyrie, Allen Iverson, or name the best dribbler can in this game. Like I know Jan, you're not really a big dribble head, so you
No, I'm
don't.
not,
But you have
sadly.
to see. You have to see. Like even you have to get how slow the gameplay is. Like
No,
it's
it
just.
definitely feels like you are somewhat stuck in the mud when you're playing
It's
on this
exactly
game.
how does
Yes.
that like we're in 2025, like these should be like top of the line basketball games, and it seems like it gets worse every year. Like 2K24 I didn't think was amazing, but I felt like it built a solid foundation that it could have really expanded on this year, and it seemed like they just scrapped all the positives that they built up last year, and they like I don't know what this is like, and I think honestly the hot take comes down to that Mike Wang's vision for basketball sucks, and I don't think the gameplay is ever going to get better unless until they get a new whatever. I don't know what he does, head of gameplay developer, whatever it is,
I
because
guess so, yeah.
it's not good. His idea for what a fun basketball game is not fun. I don't think. I think again. I think what you said, that I bring a unique perspective on the gameplay, is because I don't think a lot of people have realized how little they've enjoyed the game since 2K was in its peak when it was more fun.
Yeah. Well,
You
I
know,
also think,
so
to add on to your point, Harry, I also don't like I don't think people realize how much the gameplay affects their viewpoint of my team, if that makes sense.
yeah,
You know what I
right,
mean?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
No, that's a
again, I
great point.
think you look back on, like I said, 2K17, where we had nothing to do, but it didn't matter because it was so much fun. I think a lot of people, I think soon people will really get hit. It'll hit them more, especially as they play newer games like GTA and all those games that are fun to play. That they're not getting that enjoyment from playing the game. Sure, they might get enjoyment from getting that Yao Ming card or getting that great RNG card, but they're not getting enjoyment from the journey of actually playing the game. It's either stressful or they're just playing the game, just excited just to get to the end, but they're not really enjoying the process of playing the game.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, that is a great hot take. I I mean, to say that the gameplay hasn't been that, I don't want to say entertaining, but the gameplay hasn't met like your desires for 6 years is
Six
honestly
years,
crazy. It's
yeah.
crazy. That is crazy. Um, my one hot take. Do you have any guess what my hot take is? I feel like I kind of teased it in the pre-podcast call that we had, maybe a little bit during this call. Any guesses what my hot take is?
Hmm. Oh yes, I can. Yes, I can guess what your hot take is.
All right, go ahead.
Your hot take is going to be that the people that are spending money consistently on the game are more of a majority than we think.
No, but you know what's crazy? That was my runner up. I was actually
Okay.
thinking that. I do think, and you know what? I want to field this question to the community watching this. Let me know down below what your prediction is. This would have been my hot take if I was able to quantify this number. I do feel
Mhm.
like, just based off of my own opinion, that it's over 50% of this community spends at least $100 a week on packs, which was what I was thinking of saying. That is not my hot take. Although I do feel passionate about that, and that's fine because I also don't want to come across as the guy that's pocket watching. Like, that's not an issue for me. I'm in a position where if I wanted to spend more money on this game than I am currently, I could. I have no issue with that. My thing, excuse me, I had to drink water. My thing it does not have to do with people spending money weekly on packs because again, I can't quantify that, and I don't want to set the precedent that a lot of people do in this community that spending money on this game is bad because I just think if you want to play 2K, you're and you have that kind of money to spend on the game, you're probably going to have a better time playing this game because unfortunately, I just think the way 2K25 has been, it's more so catered towards the money spenders in my opinion than any other year of my team because of how they've slaughtered the offline no money spent community. But again, that is not my hot take. My hot take, Harry, I think the player market comes back in 2K26. That's my hot take. I think 2K playing the long con here brought back the auction house in 2K25 and intentionally tried to make this game mode as miserable an experience for the community.
Oh,
This
Jan, I'm getting chills.
this
That's
in
very interesting.
I think they're trying to make this game mode as miserable an experience for the community that does not spend money on this game weekly as possible to bring back the player market next year along with better game mode rewards. Maybe they bring back Clutch Time Online. Maybe that's the tweet that
Oh
Ronnie
my
drops in
God.
August now.
We're
The big
gonna, what
return,
is it? We're
right?
gonna,
And you know what's
what did Ronnie
so
say?
I forgot. I can't quote it because I can't remember verbatim what he said. But what I will say is, and I think there are, I don't know how big of a number of people this is going to be, and maybe I'm speaking for the non-vocal minority, which would make it a really small group of people in this community. But I think there are people in this community who, if they saw player market is coming back along with a lot of the stuff that we got in 2K24, I think some people would be really excited for 2K26 because I think people who came into 2K25 thinking this is not I want to be very clear. This is not an attack on you, Harry, because I think your viewpoint on the auction house is my team is what a lot of people saw. And what 2K did was they emasculated the auction house. They put in that escrow, and that escrow, along with the pack odds being
That's,
what they were,
yeah.
it and the game mode rewards, everything kind of added up, right? Because 2K basically made it to where if you wanted to get the MT to get the high end cards or get the high end cards from grinding the game, it was not going to happen this year, right? It wasn't like previous years where, oh, I can't get, you know, Pink Diamond or Galaxy Opal David Robinson in season 3 of NBA 2K24 My Team, but at least I can grind 500 clutch time offline games and get Pink Diamond Hakeem Olajuwon. There was no alternative. You either had the best card or you didn't. There was no, in previous years of 2K, them dropping Magic Johnson, but then they gave you a budget Isaac Bonga. And you could go and get another, what was he, 6'7, 6'9, a budget point guard for 10 KMT. We didn't have that this year. If you didn't have the meta cards and you matched up against a player playing this game who had the meta cards, if you didn't have a card that was similar in hype or had similar ratings, you were cooked. You were cooked unless you were just that good on the game that you were able to counteract how good your opponent's team was. You were basically cooked this year. At least that's in my opinion. I really feel like this year, in large part, was as pay to win as ever. And what's funny is this is the first year that we've gotten the auction house back off of a year that we had the player market. So I just think 2K. I'm not saying this with like a ton of confidence. It's just a hot take. But I could definitely see 2K bringing back the player market, and I could see them doing so because I don't think it'll be as negatively received as it would have been this year had they brought it back. What are your thoughts, Harry?
I have many thoughts. But before I even get into what I think, I want to follow up like that's a very good point and like that gave me even chills. Sorry, my alarm went off. Even thinking about that because it's
Yeah.
like again, it's like but I ask you, like, do you think the community is like smart enough to be at that
No.
level yet? Because
No. I didn't have to even
like
hear what else you said. This community is not smart.
no, yeah, and I was gonna say I almost think like 2K needs, and I hate that I'm saying this because I almost kind of support that. Like I've realized this auction house, it's not even worth it anymore. Like they took someone like me who loves sniping and was so excited for this auction house to come back, and they get sad, honestly. Really, they threw it in my face, and they it's like I was so excited for my birthday, and like it just ended up being a terrible experience. Like this
Yeah.
was the auction house, so I almost think, and I hate to say it, that like I almost think 2K26 needs to be like 2K25.5 or whatever. Another awful year just so the community can finally all come to like that mindset that the player market was better. Like I don't know if 1 year, like for us, for people who are actually intelligent, I think that it was enough for us to realize that like I'd be on board for the player market now, and I never thought I'd say that. I don't know if the majority of the 2K, like I think it would still be met with negativity. I think if they had one more year of just pure awfulness like this year, I think they'd have to come to the conclusion that the last time they really enjoyed a My Team was 2K24.
People, you know what, Harry? I feel like there are the
Do you think
people that are
it's enough? Has the pain
no,
been
it's not
enough? I
enough.
don't know.
I
I don't
don't I
think it's been
feel
enough.
no. The people who are the auction house truthers, I think, are going to support the auction house no matter what. And I just, again, my opinion. I
But
have,
that's why I think if they did one more year of this,
but I
yeah,
see.
you
I don't
couldn't
know if
be.
one more year is going to be enough. I think these people are just going to like the
I
people
don't
that
think
are
so.
pounding their
Because
chest talking about the auction house. Harry, are the people that are going to be. They'll be talking about it in 10 years. We could have 10 years. It could be NBA 2K35, and we could have the same exact auction house with even worse rewards. And they'll be like, "Oh well, back in my day in NBA 2K20 during the pandemic, the auction house had no escrow, and we were having spotlight sims for a goat Kobe Bryant." They'll be talking about all this stuff. You just can't do that. I genuinely believe, and we've talked about this before on this
but
podcast.
sniping is so dead. I just don't know how you could still have that. Like, does people like Lethal, are they even sniping anymore? I don't even know on Twitter, but
I
it's
think
like
so.
I don't.
There are still
I
some people that are sniping, but I just feel like the hits are so much less frequent than they were,
right.
just like
Yeah.
in your
Right.
experience, than they used to be in previous years. And I just feel like, I mean, and there, first of all, there is no guarantee that we would get a My Team. We could get a My Team in 2K26 that is more rewarding than 2K25, but is less rewarding than 2K24. And that's what would not surprise me, and it would be just as frustrating if they give us the player market and they make the game mode more rewarding, and so you feel better about grinding the game compared to 2K25, but it's worse than grinding the game in 2K24, and that would really suck because if the
Well, you know what?
rewards, yeah, go ahead, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. Keep going.
No, no. All I was gonna say was if the rewards are worse than 2K24, that would probably still dissuade, depending on how bad the grinds are, it would probably dissuade people like me from even wanting to grind the game. So maybe I'll hit a point next year if I get 2K26, which I probably will, where maybe I'll quit the game come Thanksgiving as well. Just like you did this year.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I almost kind of what's what's interesting is that I think a lot of people have to keep in mind is like the auction house was put in this game purposely to be bad. You know, like no,
That's what
2K
it feels
knew
like.
2K knew from the beginning that this was going to be a skirt, like it was purposely meant to not be good. The player market, I genuinely think 2K meant for the player market to be a great replacement for the auction house. I
Yeah.
think they really wanted it to work, but I think due to their horrible planning and ideas for how this was going to turn out. Like they purposely screwed it up, which is what led to the special inserts because they were losing money. The whole thing, there were so many screw ups. I mean, from being able to buy players with VC, like that really hurt them, I think, in the long run. And I think them not really realizing that just because amethysts are the same tier, that doesn't mean they have to be the same price. They have to be different. You know what I mean? And the whole thing with the lock-ins, like I think they really had no execution. They didn't know how to do it, and I think they wanted it to be great. It just didn't turn out the way they. So that's why I was almost thinking earlier in the podcast. I was like, what if instead of just being so negative and wanting the auction house, if we just gave 2K the opportunity to kind of correct itself? Because I think if we had the player market this year, it would have been a lot better than last year, and I don't think we would have had the special inserts. I think it just would have been a better. It would have been the player market that we should have had because I do think that there's a world where a player market could be better than the auction house if a properly run one that's not screwed around with by the community with like buyers, MT sellers, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, look, I don't,
so
Harry,
you
let me
know,
ask you. I feel like, and I want to get your take on this. Do you feel like if we had the grinds that we had in 2K24, the game mode grinds, the MT rewards, I mean, the MT rewards couldn't be exactly the same. They would have to be less MT because the MT rewards for a player market is going to be different than with an auction house. But if we had the general concept of what we had in 2K24 game mode wise with an auction house without escrow, I think that would be better than any of the my teams we've had in either of the previous 2 years. No, you know what I mean?
so you're saying just like you're pretty much saying like 2K23, 2K22, 2K21, but with good rewards.
I guess so. Yeah, basically.
But
Bas-
good with good MT
yeah.
rewards.
Yes. I think it would be
Yeah,
much better than what
that would
we've
be
had the previous two
that's
years.
all we've been wanting is a normal auction house. But we've always wanted great MT rewards. But it seems that 2K is only willing to give us good MT rewards as if they're controlling the prices.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I more so was saying because I genuinely feel like we have two choices now going forward as consumers here in NBA 2K. My team, we're either going to get, in my opinion, a player market with game modes that feel rewarding, or an auction house that it feels taxing to have in the game, and the game modes are not as rewarding as they should be. And so I just wish that we could have the game modes with the rewards, with the mini games that we had in 2K24, with the auction house in 2K25 without the escrow. Because I think what we were told, or at least I think the way we all interpreted it, was the escrow was put in place to prevent MT buying. It still feels like MT buying has happened all year, and that all escrow has effectively done
The
was,
snipers, it hurt the
yeah,
snipers.
it killed the motivation of the people that were buying and flipping cards. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's all it did. That's all it did. Last
Yeah, I
topic.
think
Go ahead, Harry.
no, I was
Uh,
just gonna say, it'll definitely be interesting. Because I do wonder if I don't know if we're at a point, like I said, where the community would accept the player market, even though it would be significantly better than what we currently have. But
yeah. No, it's. I mean, that's why I
I would
wanted to
love
put
to.
to my hot take. You know.
And it's sad because I you know I think there's an alternate reality where we allowed 2K a second chance with the player market instead of just saying we want the auction house back, and we said we want the player market to be better, because I really think that they would have taken all the issues with you know because I really think it was kind of just like it was destined to be bad to begin with, because it was like, I don't think they were ever intending on doing the special inserts until the profits became so low that they had to do something to make it better.
Yes.
And I think that's what rubbed people so wrong about the player market to begin with, because now whenever you think of the player market, you think of those special inserts in 2K24. So I think it was like, because of all these like unintentional screw ups on 2K, they kind of just ruined everybody's perception of it to the point where like I don't know if they can come back from it.
Yeah.
Even though there's a world where they did, maybe 2K25 they did the player market again, but it was a lot better. We didn't have the special inserts and they figure out all the little fixes. But I think because it just one of those things where it just like it kind of sucks that that's kind of what everybody thinks of the player market.
Yeah. I mean, the only way again it makes sense to me is you have the player market, you bring it out because you want to squash the MT sellers, and then you have people. You probably aren't making as much money as you thought you would, because I think the concept of the player market in 2K24 was, I think it sounded better than it actually was, where you tell yourself, well, if people that are spending money on MT are now spending money buying MT from us, and then people quickly realized in 2K24, well, if you're going to spend money on 2K, just buy the players outright,
Well, yeah,
you
that's the
know?
thing. There's a very weird thing, and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
I think there's a weird There should be like a case study on it, because I think people react to things differently when it's RNG versus when it's fixed. Because
Yeah.
I remember last year people were really complaining. Oh my God, I have to spend $30 on this player. Like my God, any other year you'd be spending $50 for just a 200K pack opening, which you're not going to get him. You'd have to spend hundreds of dollars to get that card that you're spending a fixed $30 price. But because it
Yeah.
seemed that it was a fixed price, everybody was so turned off by it. And I think that's why we had all those crazy lock-ins for cards, because I think if you went on the player market and you saw so and so for an 800K MT price, even though that same card would have been going for 1 million plus in the auction house where players are controlling the prices, there's something that rubs people the wrong way when they see that 800K fixed price. So it was like, even though stuff like that was better for us, for some reason I think, I don't know, it's like a mental thing where they just couldn't get past that mental block. And that's why I think we had all those like it was just because I think I read like the big Kobe lock in that was like whatever amount of MT. It would have been way more in an auction house that Kobe because he was like one of the best cards in the game. But because it's weird, isn't that weird that like it's like $30 seems like a lot, but they'd be spending way more in an auction house, or like 800K fixed price seems like a lot, but they would have been spending 1 million plus in the auction house. It's like it's like people. I don't know. It's like they weren't mentally ready for a player market. It's like when they are were already complaining about stuff like that.
Yeah, no, exactly. On the screen, I'm pulling up if it's gonna even load. Because I've used this GIF before. Oh, it's gonna verify that I'm a human. Okay, I'm not gonna do that. I've talked about it before when you were talking about how if people know the VC price for a card, they'd almost rather just buy the box for the same amount of dollars.
Yes,
I use the
right.
the Family Guy meme where you have Peter and
Yeah,
Lois talking
exactly.
to the boat salesman, and he's like, "You can have a boat, but you could also have the mystery box." And Lois is like, "We'll take the boat," and Peter's like, "No, no, but we'll take the box." And then he's like, "A boat. Well, you can see here it says a boat's a boat, but the mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat." And
Couldn't be
that's
about.
that's the whole concept with what Harry's saying right now. Um, and then you're talking about what Harry just said about spending $30. You have people that are spending. I mean, so many people I think are spending
100, like,
like a
right.
hundred bucks minimum every week on these 51 pack boxes just to get as early as this past week, or as late as this past week rather. They're spending 51 bucks to effectively get maybe two dark matter shakes out of 51 packs, and you're ending with a 100 overall Tony Parker. And then, I mean, just think about it. You're spending $100. You're spending $30 more than the minimum price to pre-order 2K26 every single week. And again, I'm not here to pocket watch. I'm trying to put it into perspective on what you're spending and what you're getting in return. To me, it's just totally insane. Um,
But again, because I think people, because even if people have the idea in their mind, maybe I could pull them in a single pack. The odds of that, they'd have to spend hundreds. It's like, it's almost like this community was not mature enough to handle the player market. That's my hot take?
yeah, no, absolutely, I totally get it. Last thing, Harry, real quick, because this pod has
Go
been
for
going
it.
on
I
now
know. It's
for
been a long one.
yeah, it's been an hour 45, which is crazy.
Oh
Um,
my God.
What do you need to see in NBA 2K26 My Team to be excited to play My Team at least a few days a week? What do you need to see?
I'll be honest, this is going to be crazy for especially coming from me and everything we've talked about and how pro auction house I was. I didn't know how I was going to answer this when we started the pod, but after discussing this, I think the player market coming back, to be honest, because
That
at
is so
least that would
crazy. Oh my
because
god.
I never because I hated the player market. I complained all of 2K24. I was so excited for 2K25 purely because of the auction house. And it's funny because in 2K25, a lot of the stuff that I didn't take for granted, that Jan took for granted, or I guess he enjoyed and appreciated, like being able to get new players and grind for them and try them out in games, like stuff that I didn't care enough. Those are stuff that I really enjoyed in salary cap when I played this year. Like I love getting the budget cards, it's getting new lineups. Like that's all Jan was doing. He was grinding for cards in the agendas, getting those players and being able to run them, stuff cards that he never would have gotten any other 2K, but he learned to love from getting those cards. So I guess what I'm ultimately saying is I think them bringing back the player market would again tell me that you know, they're gonna really try to give us a good experience because it felt like because again that would really show that like you said that 2K25 was purposely made so we would enjoy 2K26.
Isn't that so
Um,
crazy though that a
which
year
is
that
crazy
people
to think
spent
about.
$70 to buy the game, and then there are people that have spent, I think, easily $5,000 or more, that this year was just potentially, if they bring the player market back next year, I think 2K25 My Team was meant to serve as a long con to bring people into the
Yeah,
player market again in 2K26. Isn't
which
that
is
insane?
It's that's what I'm saying. When you were saying that, I had like chills because I never thought of it like that.
If
That
that happens,
2K25,
Harry, the My Team economist needs to be promoted. I just want to tell you right now.
yeah, because that's like
Because
talking
they
about
would have
long
totally
term planning.
succeeded. They would have succeeded in their
Because
mission for the year.
they because they knew short term they're gonna make a shit ton of money from 2K25 just from having the awful pack odds and the auction house and all that stuff. But they knew long term wise it was gonna be such a bad game that despite how much money that they're making, that they knew that when they brought back the player market and actually, gave us a good game in 2K26, that we'd be happy to have that over how bad 2K25 was.
Yeah, no,
It's
absolutely.
it's beautiful. It's brilliant.
I
Yeah,
think
so that would get me
the
excited.
brilliance of 2K My Team is their team knows their community very well, and I think they took a calculated risk over the last year and change since 2K24. And I feel like 2K24 and to some point 2K25 has been a case study for them to see how much, and I've talked about this on this channel a bunch, especially in podcast form with Harry, how much can they bend the community until they break. And I think what they've noticed is the people that they're willing to let go have broken and they've left. And the people that are still here, a lot of them are spending enough money to validate what 2K is doing with their decisions on this, in this game mode. And so they're going to continue to do what they're doing because they know that their community that they have currently in place is spending a lot of money and their breaking point is really hard to reach. At least that's my opinion. They know that. I think for, again, I feel like I wish I could quantify this. I think more than half of the people remaining in this community are spending at least $100 a week on these boxes. I think.
But let me ask you, is it even worth it for do you think 2K do you think they probably do you think they'd make less money from a player market at this rate with how much money they're making this year?
No, because I think if they were to bring the player market back in 2K26, it would be a modified version of what we got in 2K24, where the game mode rewards would be better, but they would find a way to basically make more money. And I'm not sure exactly how, but
But I think the player market would have to be better. Because then I think they'd have to do what I'm saying. They'd have to make the community accept these fixed prices. I think we'd be seeing higher price cards in the player market. I don't
no, we
even think we
could.
saw cards above 200K, or did we in the player market last year? Like I think they were
No,
scared of how people. Yeah, because
I
they were
think the
scared of how
highest
people
price
would.
was like 225 for that
Exactly,
Michael Jordan that was
because
like
I think as
Ultimate
soon
Dark
as they
Matter.
saw people complaining about those $30 players that they had to buy, they knew that they wouldn't be able to handle seeing those high priced players. So I think if I don't know how. I'm curious what the financials would be if they had the player market and they did it right, and they didn't have to like rely on special inserts because they are making money. So it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the model that 2K put out this year, where they have events coming out twice a season, and there are cards like this current season, we have Goat Kevin Garnett and Goat Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who are literally cards that only the money spenders can get. Which I think that's the first time I've ever seen that where 2K outright put cards that are physically impossible for you to get if you
Right.
just grind the game. I've never seen that before. Where
Well, you know what, Jen? I'll even bring it back full circle. Maybe my real hot take is maybe 2K they're the baby faces in this one. Maybe the auction house wasn't meant to punish us. It was meant to teach us a lesson.
about what?
It was meant to teach us a lesson that we don't really want the auction house in the game, that this is not an integral part that we need in my team. A lesson that like the player market just would have been better overall if they would have just worked on it.
Yeah, I mean, you know what?
Well, they wanted us to real not the, like they wanted us to realize that the player market was probably better in the game if it meant having better rewards, better grinds, stuff like that.
I mean, maybe Harry. I think Harry. Ultimately, I think what they've shown us over the last 2 years is that the My Team that we all know and love, whether you were someone like you and I who really enjoyed My Team closer to the inception of the game mode back in,
Yeah, yeah,
for me it was 2K13 to 2K17. That was my heyday. That initial presidential term, that first 4 years of My Team was my favorite time of My Team. From the content was pretty terrible, but the gameplay was great and the community was great and the content creators were legendary. at that point in
Oh
time,
yeah.
you know, compared to what we have now, where the game is just not in a great state, and a lot of the content creators that people like have left. It's the game mode is not in a great place, but I think what 2K has shown us over the last 2 years is that they, I think the early era of my team was defined by the community. I think the company is defining what they want the terms to be for my team going forward, whether it's an auction house a game mode with an auction house and there really isn't a whole lot left for you to do if you're no money spent, or a player market where the no money spent people have a little more wiggle room. They have a little more slack on their chain to run around the yard. But that's it. You can't have your cake and eat it too. That's not what my team is. And it's not just, it's not just me putting this indictment on my team. I think that's all the Ultimate Team game modes going forward. These companies are all companies, and they have quotas, and they're trying to hit their quotas. And I just believe that they're trying to, improve their take home pay every year, and the only way to do so, unfortunately, is kind of at our expense. And I think we're going to see more of the same from 2K every year going forward in my team. And I just genuinely believe that, unless there's, some magical change, I just think my team has become less and less enjoyable over the years. Harry said it outright. He's not enjoyed the gameplay since pre-pandemic times,
Literally.
which
Yeah.
is damning. I
Yeah.
feel like you'd be hard pressed to find people that find a my team that was recently that was better than the previous year for the entirety of the year. And I'm afraid that 2K26 is going to be the same. And if you're 2K, you have no reason to alter your course, because the community that you have is spending money, and they've shown that they're not willing to leave. So if you're making money and if you're hitting your quotas, why would you change what you're doing? If anything, you would continue to make the game mode less appealing towards your community, and see if we put in changes X, Y, and Z to make more profit at the expense of our community, are they going to leave? And if you see that you barely have people leaving, especially if you're retaining your whales, the people that are spending a lot of money, I don't know why you would care if you're 2K. So
Yeah, and that's a good point. And it's also, I said before, it's like they can still target their money spenders, but also they should put in a little effort towards the grinders. But I guess you're right. That's a good point to where like it's kind of like they counteract each other, because the more that they make it unenjoyable for the grinders, they make more money because they're eventually forcing those people to spend money to, enjoy the game. Like you said before, you said you probably will enjoy my team more if you spend money. It's true. You probably will. So it's kind of like they have to make it so unenjoyable for the grinders so that they're forced to spend money to enjoy the game.
yeah, yeah. Just real quick, my closing points on what I would need to see to get me excited about my team. I think a lot of the areas that I covered in the flop section, having those undone or improved upon would make the game mode better. Namely, the main things, because look, for me, auction house, player market, to me, it doesn't really matter. I want to be able to enjoy my time when I play the game. And I felt like
Mm.
what I had in 2K24, which was I would be able to come home from work after a long day at like 8 or 9 o'clock. If I wanted to just play, a couple of clutch time online games, if I wanted to play a couple of clutch time offline games, and feel like I was rewarded, I was able to do so in 2K24. And I have not been able to feel that same feeling this year, because if I played Breakout, I did not feel rewarded. Again, I feel like Breakout was the biggest failure in NBA 2K25. And if I went to play Clutch Time Online, I would be disappointed because Clutch Time Online does not exist this year, which is really frustrating. So I would like to see Clutch Time Online return to 2K26, my team. I would like to see, I would be cool if Breakout stayed, but they would have to revamp the way the game mode rewards you substantially. I would like to see the rewards that we had in 2K24 applied to 2K26 if they bring Breakout back. Have Clutch Time offline, Triple Threat offline, full lineup games. Have them all give us additional rewards. I was asking in season 1 if we could have rewards on the way to getting to the edge of the board. It's season 7 that it's still not happened, and it's not going to happen for the entirety of the year. That to me is unacceptable. There's no reason to play Breakout. I only play Breakout nowadays for completing agendas. That is not what the only offline game mode should be in the game to do. The offline game mode should be in the game for me to be able to grind, for others to be able to grind and feel like they can be rewarded because they don't want to play online and they know if I play offline games and I play a lot of them, I can maybe earn rewards that are somewhat comparable to the people that play significantly less games but play them online. Um, Let me think. What else? Again, player market versus auction house. It doesn't really move me all that much. I mean, if the auction house comes back, I would like the escrow to be gone. And if the player market comes back, to Harry's point, I would like the player market to have, you know,
Improvements.
yeah, I would like to see. First of all, I would like to see the player market be for all players for the entirety of the year. I don't want to see it to where all players are purchasable until All Star Weekend, and then when All Star Weekend hits, the cars that we've all been saving our MT for are now special inserts. That was awful.
I think that was only because of how bad the player market was.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean
think that was the
they
plan.
were not meeting their they were totally
Their
like
quotas.
they were hemorrhaging money. I think leading up to leading up to that point. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm done eating almonds on this podcast. Jesus Christ. um, yeah, I mean, I think that's basically it. I don't really have anything else that I want to cover in terms of changes that I would make or improvements I would make to 2K26 my team. Any closing remarks, Harry, while I try to get my voice back?
Right. No, I think this was interesting. Lots of thoughts, things that I've never even thought of with the player market and the auction house and stuff like that. I think it'll be interesting what 2K26 brings. I mean, I guess I'll wrap it up by saying this. I thought I was gonna mention this at some point, but
Yeah, go ahead.
I think now that I'm not as like addicted to 2K. I'm at a point where like, no matter what the blog says, I think I will get 2K26. I probably will start with my team, but that doesn't mean I'm married to the game. Like I'm fine. Maybe I'll play the first couple months when I enjoy the game the most, and then if I'm not liking it, I have no problem just not playing for the rest of the year, which is something I could never do in any other year besides this year. Um, so yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I think, I would be excited for the player market to come back. I think just because the auction house gives me such a ick feeling just because of how bad it was this year. I think the player market coming back, it's just something new,
Isn't that so
I
crazy
think.
that you're saying that? I can't believe that you're saying that right now. Right? Like you were the
I
most
know it's great.
like I want to be
It,
clear.
it's
I'm not attacking you for being a
No,
staunch
no, no.
auction house defender.
I purposely didn't enjoy the things I should have enjoyed in 2K24 solely because I was so angry about the auction house not being there.
Yeah.
Like I took for granted how easy we were making MT, the grinds like CTO and all that sort of thing, the gauntlets and trying out new cards and so many different things I was just taking for granted just because of how much just because I went in stubborn about how much I hated the player market. I didn't really give the player market a chance, I don't think.
Yeah, well, to
And I
be
think you
fair,
did it.
2K24 didn't give it a chance either. After the All-Star break, they
I
kind
think
of
they did,
sold it.
yeah, but I'm talking about even before when it had a little hope. I think I was still very negative, and I think, and I think I realized that like I value just gameplay and overall. Like I think playing the game is what I value more now, and that's something I didn't realize in 2K24. Like now, I would have loved to just play CTO and Triple Threat online all year and just chill. Like, honestly, if I had 2K24 this year, knowing what I knew and what I realize now, like, oh, it would have been great. I would have been like chilling on CTO, playing Clutch Time online to get my online fix, little 5-minute games. I've been running budget squads, so many different squad builders. I just would have. I almost wish I could do a repeat on 2K24 just because I would have enjoyed it more. So that's why I kind of wanted to come back because I've come to like the understanding that like what you said, the best my team where we have the auction house but we're getting rewarded, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like we've been wanting that for years. I just like even before, like even like in the great days of 2K, we were saying we want to be MT rewarded. It's just not going to happen. So if the player market is the way to do that and they're actually going to improve on it, that's why like I think like last comment, like I think the same way the auction house was put in to be bad purposely, I think Breakout was purposely put in to be an awful game mode. I don't think 2K ever intended on it being a
Mm,
good game mode, which is why like I don't really like the player market. I think we could have given them another chance to really build on their mistakes because they wanted it to be good. I think Breakout, I think purposely was meant to be bad. Like I think that like I think if we got the player market back, I think we'd probably see more what we got in 2K24 with the different modes to grind. Like I think Breakout alongside all the other awful stuff that was like put in to hate to screw with us would be gone.
yeah,
Like
I
so it'll
could
be
see that.
interesting what they do at Park next year. It'll be really interesting to see. I think what we get next year, if we do get the player market back, will really tell us how much was put into this year purposely to screw with us. Like
Yeah.
it'd be funny if we even get Triple Threat Online back and they take the park out. Like that would show that the park was put in to eventually wear us down.
Yeah, or if they keep the park and they just bring back Triple Threat Online as a whole separate entity, if you wanted to have instant matchmaking, you know? I mean, I think a lot of what they did this year, and I think we both said this at the beginning, that we commended 2K for taking bold steps
Oh
in
yeah,
changing a lot of what I thought was part of the fabric of my team over the previous few
the
years, right?
code.
You're taking out clutch time offline, you're taking out triple threat offline, but you're consolidating them into one game mode. You're taking triple threat online and you're somewhat gambling by trying to integrate it into that park vibe and try to, whether it was because you wanted to try to get the my team players to play my career, or get the my career people to want to play my team.
And I felt like they didn't work. I don't think we really saw much of a
I don't think
switch.
so. I
I
don't
didn't
think
see any
so.
park people playing my team. I didn't see any my yeah.
No, I think
I
those
think in
two
a
communities are
perfect
separated.
yeah.
You know.
I think in a perfect world they'll keep a perfect world they bring back Triple Threat Online and they just make the park more like expand like they should add a 2v2 mode. Like imagine being able to play 2v2 my team against other my teamers. Like that'd be cool. Even a 1v1 court may be cool. It would kind of be the same stuff of having to wait for games. But like do that and keep triple threat separate. I think that would get me really excited for the game. But
Yeah. No,
yeah,
I totally hear
we'll
that.
end it here. I know this is gonna go on for another hour, but yeah, this was a lot of fun recapping all the my team stuff. I think we definitely we'll have to do another video at some point. Maybe we'll do like a video before the blog. I guess it's really coming out in like a few months, which is crazy. So
Yeah,
maybe
we're like
in a couple months we'll
what,
make a
2.5 months away.
yes, we'll speculate what's to come. Maybe we'll do a final. You know what we got to do? Because
What?
I'll just save my MT, but we got to do another pack and play. We did that last year. Maybe
Yeah,
this
that
will
would be
be
fun. I mean, I
yeah.
have all this MT that I'm clearly not spending on a player so far. So, yeah.
We'll have to do league packs. I don't know if we'll be able to open super packs with our MT.
Oh God. I mean, we can do like a random promo. No, I mean, look, this is a lot of fun. I think
We'll figure it out.
this ended up being, I mean, our longest pod. We're over 2 hours, which I think is our first time ever doing that. And I think it's kind of due because we have not recorded a podcast again since late 2024. It's been almost 200 days since Harry and I have recorded a podcast together. I mean, it was great to get to be able to kind of bounce my ideas off of you, and you know having you share your ideas so I can get to hear, because again, like you said, we do agree on a lot of stuff, but I think in terms of our priorities, those are
Yeah,
different when it
yeah.
comes to the game mode. And
True.
it's not that like I don't agree with your priorities. I just think we have them ranked differently. Like I think
Yeah,
gameplay is
yeah, yeah.
very important still. But I do think as I've gotten older, I've wanted my time to feel more valued, and if I'm not getting rewarded, that's a bigger issue for me than playing the game, because I don't have the same amount of time I had to play the game before. And so if the gameplay is not as enjoyable, it does suck. But like again, it's the only NBA game we have, and I think that's where a lot of people also stand. Is like, this is the only game we have, so in terms of having a basketball game, so we kind of got to take
Scenario,
it.
the gameplay sucks and the rewards suck, so there's nothing that's being valued.
Yeah,
It's like
no, it's awful.
it's if anything, it's like to guess conclude, it's like both of our like I guess buckets you could say are not being fulfilled or
Yeah.
whatever.
So I guess in conclusion, all I'll say is to the YouTube comments, if you made it past 2 hours,
God
I guess
bless
let
you.
us know. Let us know. Put a hashtag Yao Ming versus Shaq if you got that far. Reason why I'm saying that is because Harry and I used to do Yao Ming versus Shaq half court battles where we would just take, or sorry, full court battles where we used to take full court shots with Yao and Shaq. So I'm curious to see if anyone will drop the hashtag in the comments. Yeah, Harry, I appreciate you. Thank you for freeing up 2 hours of your time. And again, to all of you guys who are watching this podcast, whether you made it for the first 5 minutes, the first hour, or the entirety of the 2 hours plus. We really appreciate you guys for listening. We do enjoy doing this, even if we don't do it as often as we used to. We'll hopefully do it. I don't want to say more frequently, but I guess we'll try to do it more frequently than once every
Daily
200 days.
podcasts are coming.
Yes, yes. I mean, we did
The daily
rebrand
5-hour
to
podcast.
yes. That's right. In August, get ready. The full 2K26 teaser. We'll try to bring out more episodes now that we've rebranded to the BrothSyndi My Team show. So yes, Harry, appreciate you. Thank you, everybody that watched. Thank you. We appreciate you guys. Stay tuned for more My Team content and look forward to hopefully later on this summer another podcast from Harry and I here on the BrothSyndi My Team show. Until next time, we'll see you later.